SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
BP Stouffville, Wednesday, February 12th, 1060 Hoover Park Drive, Boston Pizza Stouffville, owned by our friend, former Oiler, former Montreal Canadian, and former Leaf assistant coach Keith Acton. Very excited to get back out to Stouffville. We had a blast out there last year during the playoffs, and this time it's the start of the Four Nations face-off. So Steve and Jesse and I are going to do a show beforehand. You can stick around and watch. And also, Molson Canadian is the official beer for hockey and a partner of the Toronto Maple Leafs and PWHL. And they're bringing you this event, and they want you to play Call the Shot, where you make score predictions for your chance to win $40,000 worth of prizing. And Steve, what else do you get when you order a Molson Canadian?
Beer! And you put it in your mouth hole.
Right.
Yep.
Jesse, any thoughts?
My favorite Molson Canadian might be Molson Export. Very good.
Ooh, you like a Molson X?
Yeah, Molson. What's the light blue one called? The one that's a light beer, like couple percent.
Molson
on my
Light
tongue.
Beer. It is called Ultra.
Molson Ultra. That because I do like a light beer.
Oh,
Yeah?
You know?
yes.
I think
100%.
Okay, if I'm ranking them, it's Ultra, Export, and then regular, and they have a fourth one I can't remember either.
I'm
I
just
used to
gonna
know all the Molson.
You know, you could have them all.
Yeah, or just like have
Yeah.
more beers.
No,
Pokemon.
listen.
Like just
I think so. I'm on the Molson website right now, and they're just into the section of our brews, and it's not letting me in. Month. I put 1988 for month.
my gosh.
That's my
Adam.
Woo. All right, now here we go. We got Molson Canadian, just the reg. Then we got Jesse's favorite, Molson X. Then you got Molson Dry. I love Molson Dry. I love a dry beer. Yes, Molson Ultra, and then there's the cold shots.
Cold shots are number one.
Monster.
Classic.
Cold shots.
Classic.
That's the classic.
yes.
Cold shots on the golf course?
Oh, man. They're the only thing that could make me not hate everything about my life.
I was
playing
just
golf.
about to say, how did you make me want to be on
Jesse,
friggin' golf
I
field?
want to be on the golf course watching
course,
you
I said
fucking
field.
wreck Steve and I,
Yeah.
and me hating my life because I can't golf.
We when we have the cold shots at the golf course, we were definitely allowed to do that. You first of all, you sneak them in. You get them in your bag ahead of time. You gotta make sure they're cold. Then the key is you take your tee to the crack open to the shot. So you get the tee, and then it feels more golf, because you're using your tee to crack it open, and then you crack it and do the shotgun.
Jesse?
It's a good time.
Dudes rock.
Golf is awesome.
I was going to be like, you're a silly goose. No, wait. Actually, hell yeah, brother.
One time I got Adam my friend Ton got Adam to shotgun in the shower.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Big shotgunning crew amongst my friends.
Absolutely. You know what? So that was your 30th birthday?
Yes.
Yeah,
When
so
you shotgunned in the shower.
I think that might have been the most fun I've had at a party in the last half decade. Jesse has these crazy friends. So Jesse is a very calm, cool, he's like a mountain, right? It snows, it rains, it's sunny. Jesse's still the same, right?
Adam.
That's how my mother describes people like Jesse. It's
The
like,
kids call it aura.
aura. He's got
that
aura.
sounds like something a mother would say.
Yeah, that's what my mom says. It's like, that's how she describes being a parent. You're snowed on, you're rained on. It's sunny sometimes.
Oh my God.
But you are a mountain and you stay the same. And Jesse is like that. Ton, Jesse's friend, is an absolute, like, he's one of those people that in normal situations, you see people doing something, you're like, I'd never do that. Ton asks you to do it, and you're like, I have to do this with this person. He's the
Suppose
guy
I'm doing that.
He's the fire.
All right,
He's
I will
the spark.
jump off the roof.
100%. Yeah. And every friend group has to have that. Without that spark, you can't. Ton is that guy. So yeah, I was it wasn't in Jesse's shower. It was in the gym showers because Jesse had a party room.
Yeah,
and
the condo building party room.
Yeah,
Gym shower.
So we went to the gym showers and we were crushing beers.
Good
and
time. But you guys got to go to the golf course this summer.
Yeah.
You weren't
And then-
having a shower.
Because I'm fun to golf with, right, Jesse?
No, Adam
so much
hates
fun.
golf so much.
Oh my God.
It's actually, I had fun with Adam. It was awesome.
Steve, you made like 3 putts, and I was shocked.
You know what? It was awesome because it was best ball.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I got mine like so early too. So like right away.
The rest of us would get it really close for you.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
you would go first with the putting.
Right. But then like I got mine really early, and I'm like, I have already accomplished more than I thought I would today. So I'm flying high. I'm awesome.
Yeah.
And Adam, it's just hole after hole after hole passes, and he still doesn't have one, and he's getting more and more and more pissed.
I was so mad that day. I mean, you probably can tell from if you've listened to this show long enough that I am patient, I think, with people, but I'm not really patient with myself.
Oh, yeah.
And golf is, you have to be patient with yourself, right? You have to be locked in, calm. That's not my personality at all.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Like, I
it's
play golf the way I played hockey, which is I'm going to slash and hook, and I'm going to swear at you.
And be angry the whole
and be
time.
angry the whole time. That's what it was.
They're different sports?
Yes, they are. They're very different. I don't have the mentality. Listen, I don't have the talent for either, but I do not have the mentality for golf.
Out hustle your way to golf.
That's the problem with it, right?
not a
Where's
part
the
of it.
grinders in golf, you know? We're the guys that are like, I'm not that good, but I'm going to give it 110% anyway.
John Daly.
John Daly was amazing.
Actually, wait, no.
No.
He's the opposite
He
of
was
that.
transcendent with
Yeah.
a cigarette. He was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
That's
think
why.
about it.
That's why I'm saying, like, that was the one time you guys went golfing. We all went golfing as a crew. That was like 2 years ago at
Yes.
the Get Real
yes.
charity golf tournament.
Yep.
Next time, you guys got to get a couple shotguns in you by hole 3, and you'll be calm and relaxed, and you won't care to be angry.
I'm always calm when I golf.
Yeah, Steve's fun.
The
Steve's a
difference
fun
between
golfer.
Adam and I is Adam has expectations. and I don't. Adam's like, I've been to the driving range, and I'm like, I haven't. I'm gonna go.
It's frustrating because I did used to take lessons and I used to be okay. I'm terrible. now.
Cool.
Lost
I
it
went
all.
mini putt a bunch of times. Pickering playing fields. Let's go.
Well, and what's crazy is like you're a better golfer.
No, I'm
You're
freaking
easily a better
not.
golfer.
No, I'm
Yeah, that's
not.
about even.
Man. Hey,
Okay, well that's just as bad, I think.
so listen, I obviously it was a crazy weekend trade wise. Of course, the JT Miller trade breaks right after we released the episode on Friday because that's the tradition. But, you know, we are going to get to all the trades. We are going to get to the Leafs and Oilers. We're going to talk about Tage Thompson getting absolutely trucked. Ryan Hartman as well with Tim Stützle. It's all going to be a part of the show.
It was a newsy few days.
It was. But I do, you know, we run a sports podcast. The booing of the anthems will need to be talked about. And here's what I'm going to say. Whatever your persuasion is politically, you know, we understand our place in your universe is to provide an escape. So if you want political commentary, literally every corner of the internet has it. And so and also television and radio too.
For worse or for worse?
For worse or for worse.
Yeah.
And so we want to be the escape from that because at a certain point it's overload. However, there are going to be some crossover things. And obviously we know, and this is what I'm going to make this about. We know that the anthem in Canada is going to be continually booed. We know that until this situation is resolved. Canadians are pissed.
And they might return the favor.
They have every right to be.
don't know.
Return the favor. I don't think Canadians really care. I think we're voicing our displeasure, and people can tell you it's disrespectful. I think that's the point. It's supposed to be disrespectful. It's supposed to send a message. And so
It'd be cool if this moment is the turning point for us never to play the anthem again at sporting events.
Oh,
because it's so
agree.
friggin' irrelevant to the sport that's going on. Who cares?
Well, so remember that in the
Don't play the
NFL,
anthem.
players didn't even come out for the anthem for up until like a few years ago, and then in the NHL, the only reason that we have the anthem before each sporting match is because of patriotism during World War II. Before that, they never did it. And it's just become a thing that we've done that we've never questioned. I have to give Amazon hockey, their hockey broadcast, a ton of credit because they don't run the anthem because no one cares.
TSN often.
TSN
I shouldn't
skips
say
it too?
often, but they quite often don't run the anthem. Either.
Sportsnet, it's like, let's move heaven and earth to put the most boring shit on TV, and they sure deliver with the anthem at the beginning of every Sportsnet game. I don't know why they still do it. I think I'd love to put it away, but I can tell you this. The Four Nations matchup, USA Canada, is gonna be charged no matter where this goes politically. And again, we're not gonna get into that. We're not equipped. You know where we stand on these things. It's pretty obvious.
But I called this a couple weeks ago. I'm like, this is going to happen, right? And you're like, nah.
I thought I'm like that. It's so stupid that I'm like, there's no way.
It's going to happen. It's happening even more than I thought it was going to happen. And now that tournament is in less than 2 weeks.
It's almost like Steve also said that the cap might not hit 97.
Well, hey,
I'm so good.
Alan Walsh.
I'm so good.
Alan Walsh and I released a podcast yesterday talking about how it probably still will.
Oh, yeah.
Jesse, you were there. You recorded the whole thing. You know what?
I don't know.
I'm going to send Alan this clip
Steve-
and say that you're a doubter pants.
But Steve's been right more often.
Tell Alan get good. No, please don't tell him that. I like him.
to get good, Alan. By the way, the Canada USA game will happen in Montreal Saturday, February 15th. Steve will be doing that live stream.
So, okay, let me ask you this. How does that work? Because typically, internationally, it's only the anthem at the end of the game for the winner.
But this is not an international tournament. There's no double IHF involvement. So this will be, they will sing Sweden and Finland's national anthems, I would assume, beforehand.
I don't know.
Well, they should.
No, I assume they'll just run it like the NHL because it's the NHL tournament, right?
You have
the anthems.
an amazing opportunity to just play hockey. Just show the game.
I think we'd all like that where they don't play the anthems ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not how.
They literally, it's just the anthem thing is literally useless. It's just pointless. But whatever. You guys want it, like people want to do it, whatever. Canada USA though, like no disrespect to Austin Matthews, you know we love our guy. But I am so ready. That Canadian team better get up for that game. That better be the best game any of those guys have ever played in their entire lives. Oh, am I putting pressure on you? Well, you're on Team Canada and you make millions of dollars. I'm sorry. That's what the money and the recognition's for.
If you can't get out of bed for Canada USA in not this climate, maybe take up another profession.
Yeah.
Knowing hockey players, I would assume most of them don't care.
Yep.
Well,
I think you're
the
exactly
idea that tariffs are going to get Mitch Marner extra motivated for a Canada USA Four Nations game, I think is a mute.
I think that could be possible, but I would say that if you're an athlete, two things are true. One, you're going to use anything to give yourself an edge, right? To pump yourself up. Tom Brady wins a Super Bowl. Everybody predicted Tom Brady would win, and he's like, nobody said we could do this, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna get that. Number two,
and I hate strawberries also.
Here's what I know about Montreal. They're loud and they really don't like being messed with.
Oh,
and so even if the players are like, oh, I'm neutral politically and I could care less, fine. But I can tell you that Bell Center crowd is going to be ballistic.
That's different. The crowd motivating the players, I think, is a reality. I think the Bell Center crowd, because Montreal is the best crowd in the entire National Hockey League, I think them being so loud can boost the players.
You know what Quebec
in
loves?
terms of them in their heads being like, you know what, let's stick it to the politics side of it. No hockey players thinking like that.
You know what Quebec loves? Being told what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're gonna go.
No, Montreal's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Insane. As for the players, I would love to know how many times in 2024 any of those guys were in a grocery store combined. I don't think they give a flying shit about anything that's going on, but
well, they're also paid in American dollars, so it doesn't.
They don't get. Yeah. Oh no. Especially if you're on a Canadian team. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
No, that really sucks.
But it's a rivalry.
It
Internationally, it's a rivalry and always has been. It's a big game, and it just got bigger.
And look at this, like Crosby, golden goal. Crosby's never played for a Canadian team.
Who's that against?
That was against USA in Vancouver, right? Sidney Crosby was a popular player before that. Since that moment, even though he won the Stanley Cup and he was Sid the Kid and he played in Rimouski and we get all that, that was the moment where Sidney Crosby became a national hero.
Well, and
right?
he had just won a Stanley Cup.
Yes.
And he's...
Nobody's talking about that, though, at that point.
4.5 years into his career, and he scores a golden goal. I'm like, I think he's in the Hall of Fame. Like, he's got an MVP already. This is 2010, early 2010. He had an MVP, a scoring title, a Stanley Cup, 2 appearances in the Cup final, and an Olympic gold medal, as well as a World Junior gold medal. Like, that's one of the most accomplished careers you could possibly ask for, and he had it it took him less than half a decade.
Yep. I think the NHL did Canada a huge favor by not having this in Toronto. Because
how many times are you going to go to that well?
Well, you did the All-Star game there, and so you're doing this. You're giving this to Montreal, but now I'm so grateful again that they did not go to Toronto for this because again that Bell Center crowd monster, and I think that is going to be throughout the entire tournament a factor for this country. Now, the finals are going to be played in Boston, so if it's Canada USA in the finals, which I think if you're American or you're Canadian, you're hoping for that. That will be electric too.
Oh yeah,
that will be can't miss, unbelievable television.
Yeah, no, Boston's got a notoriously quiet crowd.
We should dump tea in their harbor.
Yeah!
Let's take it. Suck it, Boston.
Yeah. You know, Americans known as real tea drinkers.
No, as a
and you know what? Let's make them pay extra for their stamps too.
As a Commonwealth country, I didn't care for when they did that. No. I thought it was rude. They shouldn't have done that. Just pay your tax, all right?
Yeah, come on. It's it is kind of crazy. You go. I'm going to do the history thing for 2 seconds.
Oh boy.
Here we
go. Boy.
They
all
went.
Right.
You know what our income tax is? It's crazy. You know what American income tax in comparison is? It's also crazy. They went to war over a 2% tax
With Britain.
Yes.
You know
they
what?
went to war over 2%.
Good.
It's crazy.
Good. F your tea.
Yeah. You take this tea and you stuff it.
You stuff it. Let's caffeinate all the fish.
What's something good we can dump in the harbor?
In the harbor? Like Boston?
Something really Canadian, you know?
Yeah, but you don't want to dump Canadian.
No, you want to dump American.
Oh,
goods.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
So,
What American thing do we dump in there?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Well,
Chowder.
no. Chowder's good. Don't eat on the chowder.
No, yeah, put it back where it came from.
Put it back.
Put it back where it came from. It belongs in the water.
It's like Free Willy.
Yeah. Hey, put it back. You put it back where it came from.
Go home.
Go home.
Go home.
Just a bunch of American jerseys. I don't know. No, I like the chowder idea.
Yeah.
Put it
Okay.
back.
You know what?
Yeah, there you go.
Fine. Chowder.
Yeah.
Chowder. It is.
Clam chowder in the harbor.
If you're going down to Boston for the Four Nations tournament and you're Canadian, it is your duty to put chowder in the harbor and put it on video. Hashtag chowder in the harbor.
I want a picture of a bowl of clam chowder being poured into the Boston harbor.
That's right.
Hashtag put it back.
Yep.
Put it back where it came from.
All right. Hey, let's do the BetMGM Big Story. Then we're going to talk about all the trades. But BetMGM Big Story is all Super Bowl. Okay, so Jesse has got our, it's a Super Bowl props competition between Steve and I.
Yes.
All right. Now, I know a little more about football than Steve does because I grew up in a football household.
No,
but
I know
Steve,
all these players.
Steve has been catching up, which I appreciate because a couple of years ago, we couldn't even get you to name all the teams. Now you're starting to know who the players are. You're in football pools, so this is good.
I know about a quarter of these guys.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
All right, now Jesse, what are we doing here? You take it away.
I've gone to betmgm.com/dangle and I've collected some of their Super Bowl prop specials that they have for this weekend, along with some of the more traditional bets like MVP and who's going to win and Gatorade and all that fun stuff. So I've outlined it on 2 sheets for you guys, and I want you to go through them, circle who you think's going to win, and then we'll come back next Monday and see who is the actual champion of the SDP Super Bowl prop competition.
Okay. All right. So first prop, can we talk about what the props are?
You have them. Go right ahead.
First prop, Super Bowl MVP. Okay. And I'm not going to read every odd out, but the top 3 names on there in terms of lowest odds, because they're most likely to happen: Mahomes, Barkley, and Hurts. So Mahomes, Chiefs; Barkley, Eagles having a crazy year; Hurts, quarterback. And then Travis Kelce is the next one, and Xavier Worthy after that.
That's a donation.
What, you think it's Mahomes?
He's not winning Super Bowl MVP.
What, Travis Kelce?
Kelce.
Yeah, okay, so who are you picking?
It's not like sexy odds, but he's so friggin' good. I'm going to go Saquon Barkley.
I'm going Mahomes because I am cheering for history. I want to repeat.
You picked the one guy.
Yeah, that's right.
The one guy more favorite.
Next up.
Okay. The next one is the halftime, which will be done with Kendrick Lamar. I believe SZA is joining him as well for a couple of songs. Obviously, the Drake takedown that won a Grammy last night, Not Like Us, is one of the favorites to start, but Humble is the top song, meaning it's got the lowest odds.
So this prop is for which song will start the performance, right?
And King Kunta, which I know is Steve's favorite
It's a really good
Kendrick
song.
Lamar song all time.
No, it's not. They
They
all are.
They all are.
They all
So
are. man.
which one are you doing?
Okay, so I have a theory that he's gonna do Not Like Us, but he's gonna remix it to sound like scary and ominous. Dun, 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 dun.
And you think that's going to be the opening song?
Yes. Well, it's tough because you don't want to. I feel like it's too hyped to start with that, but I'm gonna go.
That's what you're putting your money on. Your $2 Steve.
I'm gonna go with Not Like Us.
Okay.
It's that or Euphoria. Euphoria is way better odds. But
Adam.
I'm gonna go Not Like Us.
I want to go humbled, but because of that girl singing in the car. Remember that video?
That's such a niche video.
It's a niche video, but there's like a girl singing humble in the car, and it's so bad. But
Singing Humble?
I actually think he's gonna come out chill. And I think he's going to come out and then build and then build and then build, and then it's going to be Not Like Us and then All Right to
Well,
end.
that would be Euphoria.
Well, I think
That's
it's gonna
how he
be,
started the pop out.
So I think it's going to be Don't Kill My Vibe. So I'm going to pick that one.
Okay.
Because I think he's going to throw back to the songs that we started, when Good Kid, Mad City came out. Those were the songs.
He's got to start with the voice.
You got long odds there. It's 9-1 for that to happen. That's a good pick.
All right. Color of the Gatorade bath. Steve, what color are you picking?
Go Leafs go. Blue.
What are the odds on that one?
That is 7.5.
Okay.
That's the best one so far.
I'm going to go, because I think the Chiefs are going to win, I'm going to go red pink because they're going to want their own color, right?
That's I think that's a smart way to angle your Gatorade bets is, if it's the Chiefs, you probably want to go red.
Right. Okay. Now that's 7.5 to 1. Length of the national anthem, over 125.5 seconds or under. Under has the better odds, but that's because most of the time, over has the worse odds. Under has the better odds. So which one are you going with?
Who's singing it?
That's
That
a good
matters.
question. Who is singing the national
That
anthem?
matters. We need an answer to that question.
Super Bowl.
John Batiste.
Oh. He's efficient as a singer, I think.
Oh, boy. Oh.
I'm going under.
I'm going over.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
I'm going to give, so the coin toss winner, Chiefs or Eagles, the odds are the same because it's a coin toss. I'm going to go Eagles.
It'd be crazy if it wasn't.
I'm going to go.
Heads is the odds-on favorite to win. That would be insane.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Chiefs because they get everything.
Okay, and I am going to, you want heads or tails? Again, odds are even.
Tails.
Okay, I'm going heads.
Okay, so you picked Chiefs, and Adam, who did you pick to win the coin toss?
I say Eagles are going to win the coin toss,
Okay.
and it's going to be a heads.
Okay, and then Steve said Chiefs and tails?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And we got 3 more.
Who will be mentioned in the MVP speech? God, teammates, family, team organization, fans, coach.
Mentioned first.
First.
I'm going to go team organization because my MVP pick was Saquon Barkley, and I know he felt very slighted this offseason.
I know your favorite thing about the Super Bowl is that they hand it to the owner, right?
Oh, it's my favorite.
Favorite thing. I'm going to go fans. And I know that's not traditional, but 70 to 1 odds. And if the Chiefs win, at this point, right, we're talking about the fan support, how crazy it is. And a lot of Chiefs fans are going to New Orleans. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to say
17 to 1.
17 to 1.
God is like
Always.
a good favorite there.
Well, if Harrison Butker's given the speech, then I'd go God. But now, who wins the game? Chiefs at a 1.8, Eagles at a 2.05. Pretty even odds. Stevie?
Why stop now? Eagles is my pick.
Okay.
Adam's going Chiefs.
I'm going Chiefs. You guys already know that. Will Travis Kelce propose to Taylor Swift? A yes is a 9. A no is a 1.05.
Well, because they're losing, I'm saying no.
Adam?
I think that America can get over a lot of cringe. Right? America is like, I don't know if you've ever seen these TikToks where it's like, wow, American person wins the lottery versus British person wins the lottery. And American person's like, wow, all my dreams could come true. It's like British people's like, oh, how about that? Oh, look at that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're still a loser though. You still suck. Like, I think that America can't handle the cheese that would be Travis Kelce as much as America can handle its cheese.
She faces a lot of criticism that I think is unwarranted, but the one thing where I'm like, yeah, you got a point. Stop acting surprised.
Well, she doesn't do that anymore.
She did it yesterday. What are you talking about?
No way.
Yes, she does.
I didn't watch the Grammys, so I don't know.
She did it yesterday. I'm like, no, you don't have this childlike wonder anymore. You're in your mid-30s and you're a billionaire.
I am going with no because I believe Taylor Swift is of the ilk of don't propose to me on my birthday, Christmas, New Year's, major event.
Super Bowl.
It's got to be about the proposal, not about the Super Bowl.
Yeah, do it at a friend's wedding like a normal person. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
We will check in with the BetMGM big story next week. Jesse's going to grade us on our picks.
I'm just going to count them up and see who was right. But let us know in the comments on the YouTube channel who you think is going to win next week.
BetMGM.com/dangle for all of the futures odds for this and every hockey game in 4 nations. BetMGM.com/dangle. So, as is tradition, and this is dating all the way back to Thomas Vanek getting traded from the Buffalo Sabres to the Islanders.
I think it was the New York Islanders.
Back in our first season on the air, JT Miller traded hours after we uploaded our show on Friday.
Didn't I call that? Didn't I say that was going to happen on
You
the
might
show?
have. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, the Canucks were on the road. JT Miller made it to the arena, walked in with his coffee, and they held him out of the lineup. And he obviously was traded during the game. The Canucks announced that Miller traded to the Rangers along with former first-round pick Eric Brandstrom and defensive prospect Jackson Dorrington. In exchange, New York sent Philip Hedl, defenseman, and fifth-round pick Victor Mancini, who's an interesting story, and a conditional first pick, which is top 13 protected. Assuming the Rangers don't finish in the top 13 in terms of draft order this year, I think they're making the playoffs. But assuming they don't, if they finish in the top 13, they get the pick. It slides to 2026. Apologies for the confusion.
Which, there's no guarantee the Rangers are better next season.
Well, there isn't. But let's talk about right now.
Yes.
And let's talk about it first we've talked about this from a Canucks perspective ad nauseum.
Yeah.
We know. Okay? I'm exhausted. Let's talk about the resurgent Rangers. Yes, I know they lost to Boston this weekend, but they beat the Golden Knights last night.
Sure.
JT Miller, by the way, on a point streak that is over 2,500 days long with the New York Rangers.
That's such a crazy stat.
Because
I love that stat.
His last game as a Ranger, he had a point. His first game against Boston, he had a goal. And then last night, he had an assist.
He had not been a Ranger for over 500 games.
Crazy.
He played he basically had an NHL career between his Ranger stints.
So let's talk about the Rangers. And let's talk about the fact that, it's funny. It's a great trade for now for the Rangers. It's great, right? You can't deny that when JT Miller is locked in, he is an absolute animal.
Scored 100 points last year.
And so, but when he's not, he's very not. And we saw both sides of that in Vancouver. I think, I don't know what it's been so long since he was a Ranger that I didn't, I have no idea how he was viewed when he was 24 or 25 when he was traded to Tampa. But this is a guy who, along with Mika Zibanejad and Vinny Trocheck, Trocheck signed to 29. He's 31. JT Miller's 31. He signed to 2030. Zibanejad is 31. He signed to 2030.
That is a win now age group. You have to. You're not building for the future with that, right?
Right. So what do you think about this deal? What do you think he adds, guys? What do you think? Do you think the Rangers, who they've showed signs of life in the last 4 weeks, do you think that this is the thing? JT Miller and these guys, Vinny Trocheck's pumped. It was one of his best friends. Mm-hmm. Do you think that they can ride this into a postseason?
It's tricky because they have their seasons alive again, and then they go and lose 3 straight, which is a real tough one. But it's funny. There are things on the line this season because of that first round pick and its protection, and you don't want to kick that can down the road. But this JT Miller deal is big for them for the future. At $8 million, even if he's an inconsistent player, you could probably survive. because he's not making what Panarin and Zibanejad are making. And then with the cap going up and up and up and up, this is, going to be like a $6 million player, which if he's not playing on your top line, you'll survive. You'll be okay. He can play center for you. Great. If he stops being able to do that, he can play wing. Great. Can kill some penalties for you. Great. Be a factor on your power play. Great. And he brings a passion and a fury. He plays furious hockey. And if you're worried that your Rangers team is a little too sleepy, don't worry. You got one of the most intense players in the National Hockey League when he's on. And I did get a kick out of Vancouver Canucks fans looking at his first game with the Rangers and going 2 goals and -1. Mwah. Perfection. That is a JT Miller-ass game.
Jesse, you have watched the Rangers with real interest. For you, they are a team for the last, I think, 3-4 years that you've been like, one of the teams outside of Toronto that you really pay attention to.
Yeah.
What do you think about this for them?
There's a lot of conversation about the age of their forward group, and I think it dismisses the fact that the defense core is so young. And you point to like, okay, they got all these forwards and they're all 30 plus, but then you go to their defense and none of them are over the age of 30. None of them are over the age of 28. Actually, Borgren is actually their oldest defense. That's playing regularly.
That's so wild.
And that's a good thing.
Yes.
It balances out the overall makeup of the roster because you can't just have all young guys and then you're Buffalo. You can't just have all old guys and then you're Pittsburgh. So they've created a good balance here. And in terms of like looking beyond this season, I don't think you can with this team because their expectations this year are that we are going to be in the hunt for the Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. And you send out Capo a little earlier, you send out Hedel now, and you're sending out young guys, and you get a little older, but the goal is to just improve the roster incrementally throughout the season to get better, to try and make a deep run in the playoffs, and I think that's what they're doing here. I don't think anybody can argue that JT Miller's not an upgrade over Hedel. I think we've played it right now. Yeah. Like, they've upgraded in that position, and that's all you can ask for at the end of the day in a trade for a team that's trying to win now. They don't need futures. Like, who cares what happens in the future with this team?
Yeah, Panarin's 33, got a couple more years left. Like, let's go.
Good.
The window's right now, so if they made this incremental upgrade over, if it's not even incremental, if it's a big upgrade over Hedel to Miller, I think that's a win for the New York Rangers.
I don't think you cry too much about Mancini, not because he's not going to be incredible, because man, everyone I've spoken to since that trade is like, holy shit, wait till you get a load of this kid. Like, he's going to be... I would advise caution because there was a time where the Leafs acquired Dion Phaneuf from the Calgary Flames. And if you remember, people were like, one day this is going to be remembered as the Keith Ollie trade. That was the thing people said.
Yeah.
It was, and what was he? Giant stay-at-home defenseman who was young, and wait till you get a load of this kid, and he didn't turn into much, right? He was okay for a hot minute, but he didn't turn into much. Even if Mancini hits, like Vancouver knocks it out of the park, right-handed defenseman, are the Rangers getting rid of Adam Fox?
No.
Okay. Are they getting rid of Braden Schneider?
We don't know yet.
I mean,
probably not.
Probably not if they're smart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
he's, not next offseason, but the offseason after he needs a contract, but he's an RFA, so no.
He's an RFA. No. So you have Fox, you have Schneider, and you can sign some friggin' third pair journeyman to fill that slot. I don't think any Rangers fan should have a problem with that, but if you're the Canucks, it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, they just gave Borgren the extension. Like,
yeah.
Borgren. There you go.
He signed 4.1 for 4 years after this, So they have 3 right shot defensemen. They didn't need Mancini, and isn't that not what 5th round draft picks are for?
You nailed it. you nailed it.
You nailed the pick out of the park, and either you use him in your lineup when you need him, and they don't need him, so you trade him for stuff
it's
that
found
you need
value
right now. Yeah, it's free stuff. stuff. So I think they got great asset management there because clearly Vancouver values him a lot higher than they do, and the New York Rangers don't need him currently.
The Rangers were a team on the brink, guys. A month and a half ago, it was, what the hell is Chris Drury doing? And it starts with Barclay Goodrow, and then the Jake Trouba drama this summer, which played obviously into this fall when they threatened to waive him. And putting Chris Kreider's name on that trade memo, all of this stuff. Now, it may not erase that, right? But now you've got Will Borgen in the door. You've got JT Miller in the door. I don't know if Brandstrom offers anything other than he's an AHL player. He just seems like he may not.
Yeah, they sent him down immediately.
Yeah, but
that's a shame.
You're all of a sudden, this team has sort of retooled within the last 6 months, and yeah, maybe that wasn't popular in the dressing room. But if they make the playoffs this year, I think the Chris Drury experiment here, as ugly and kind of ham-handed as it has been, people are going to say, and the Rangers have to say, that's a victory.
Well, think of it from a human perspective. Okay, so we screwed Barclay Goodrow and no one's coming back. Okay, how am I supposed to feel about that if I'm in the room? All right, so we screwed Jacob Trouba and we're getting, Euro Vakanainen back. How am I supposed to feel about that if I'm a Ranger? We got JT Miller? That's exciting. That's a guy who, I don't need to worry about, I no longer need to worry about, am I the next one to get pitched out the door? The GM's adding again. Hooray, right? They moved heaven and earth to get rid of Goudreau and a Trouba's cap hit. Now they're adding, right? So I think there's got to be an element that was stressing them out throughout the fall of, I might be gone. And now you can at least be like, okay, it seems like we weathered that storm. We're here at least for the rest of this season. Let's go win some games.
Right.
I think that's how you got to feel.
And from the Vancouver Canucks perspective, let's leave Pettersson out of it for a sec. Let's talk about Hedl.
Which one?
Let's talk about, they've got 3 of them now. Yeah. 3 Petterssons. Let's leave them all out, all 3 of them. Let's talk
ridiculous.
Let's talk about Hedl. Let's talk about Mancini, and then we'll talk about the pick and parlay that into the Pittsburgh Penguins trade. So Hedl, lots of potential. A lot of people were hot on this guy from the moment he was drafted, and there has been concussion issues, and there has been injury problems.
Played 16 games last year. 16. That's it. It's not great. And he didn't score. This year he's got 11 goals. It's the rebuild with him is going to take longer than this season. For the Canucks, that's got to be a future play. He scored. That was pretty cool. I like that. He's got passion. But that's I don't think you're going to see the best of Philip Hedl this season. You hope to see that next.
Jesse, what do you think about the Philip Hedl thing for the Canucks? What does it add? What do you think they're thinking long term?
You're banking on that he develops into something more that he's shown so far in his NHL career. There's a lot of growth that has to come for you to look at this trade at the end of the day and be like, yeah, we're happy and satisfied. Because I think on the surface, you lose the trade. You parlay it into another trade, and we'll get into that. But I never like the team that's moving away from the better player. They send out the better player and they get something that's magic beans right now in Hedl because he's not at the potential that you'd hope, and it's always a guess that he's going to reach there. And the concussion thing, I don't think it can be underplayed how serious that is and how it can affect his career. And we'll see if he can develop into a high-end scorer.
What's interesting is, so Philip Hedl, his career high in points is 45, and that's 2 years ago in 22-23. I thought you guys would find it interesting that his career ice time average is about 14 minutes a game, because that's how deep the Rangers have been.
Holy shit.
And so his first game with the Canucks, 20 minutes.
That's hilarious.
So he's going to get plenty of opportunity to figure it out over the next, I would say, not just this season, but the next 18 months, right? As Steve said, I think he's right. You got to have a good look at this guy long term. If he's going to play center for you, which he's going to have to learn to win some faceoffs.
Yes.
He's not a good faceoff winner. Although he won 75% on this weekend with the Vancouver Canucks, but his career face-off average is 41%.
Also,
that is like,
even though he scored also a -1. I know.
Yes.
Some fans are going to be salty if I don't point that out.
You need to have, listen, you may not be, and you may not turn into the high-flying scorer that New York wanted you to be when they drafted you 21st overall, whatever it was, right? But if you want to stay in the league and you want to get 40 to 60 points, that's a pretty good living you can make, especially with the salary cap potentially going to $114 million in a couple seasons. You play center, you're making $5-6 million a year on that.
Oh,
Easy.
at least.
Easy.
At least.
So if this player can learn to win faceoffs, which is literally a learned skill, that is winning faceoffs, there is an art to it, but it's not like speed or fast twitch muscle fibers or hand-eye coordination that can be trained, but some of it's gift. Winning a faceoff is like defense. It's just practice. And I think I know it sounds like a stupid thing to bring up, but honestly,
it's important.
If this guy's a career 55% faceoff man, you're going, well, at least you can throw him out there on the power play. At least you can throw out there in defensive situations. Hey, I'll put him out on the penalty kill because he's going to win a faceoff.
Right.
That's what you need. So I want to see him do that. Now, Victor Mancini's an interesting one.
Here, I wanted to point out one more thing with Hedl. I don't know if I'm barking up the wrong tree here, but with the Kuzmenko deal between Calgary and Philly, we saw basically a trade that was partially designed to keep Matvei Michkov in his happy place.
And also offload Kuznetsov.
That too.
Kuzmenko's deal.
Yeah. The Canucks didn't have another Czech player other than Filip Hronek. So he's been on an island a little bit there, and I know he obviously speaks English, but it feels good to be able to speak your mother tongue with someone. And now maybe he gets to do that.
It's not a big country either. Like these guys would, if they came up through the Czech national program, they would know each other.
Yeah, so I'm just pointing it out. That's probably something that helps Hronek feel a little better.
Victor Mancini, fifth round pick, has turned into a guy that looks like he could play hockey in the National Hockey League regularly.
Big.
But as you said, Jesse, he's a guy that also was behind a very stacked right side for the New York Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the New York Rangers, as we said, didn't have use for him, and I think the Vancouver Canucks do. Like that's what they need is depth on D, because you saw last night, like without Quinn Hughes, how shaky they really are. You know, he's truly the driver of the whole team, and they need to find ways to get better and more defensemen into their system, so it's not just Quinn Hughes doing everything.
Well, imagine you're able to play Mancini up with Quinn Hughes in a year or two on the same pair. Hronek gets to play with whoever else on the second pair.
Marcus Pettersson.
Oh, there you go. Well, that was easy. And all of a sudden, that's a pretty handsome top four.
Right.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they use him right away, because he didn't play last night, obviously. If they let him stay in the minors for a little bit, or if they just throw him right in the NHL.
It's a good question. He's 22 years old, shoots right, and the first round pick that the Rangers protected this season that could slide to next year was then parlayed into a trade with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Coming back was Marcus Pettersson and Drew O'Connor, leaving with the first round pick, Vinny Desharnais and Danton Heinen. And I want to start there because Desharnais and Danton Heinen were signings from this offseason that did not work out. Now, I could have told you that Desharnais was not what the Canucks needed. He's just another Tyler Myers.
That really seemed like a setup.
Yeah. I think it came down to the fact that the Canucks were not able to retain Zadorov, right? So they had to try to get someone else who's like a tree.
It's not even anything against Desharnais as a player. Like, I think he's an NHL player, but you just knew someone was going to overpay him in the summer, and the Canucks were first in line.
And yet it's only $2 million. But still.
Yeah, but he's not a multi-million-dollar player.
Right. Danton Heinen, they were hoping would be a part of the solution on the second line, I think. You know, the second, third lines. I thought the third lines looked good, like, you know, Garland and that sort of thing. They've driven that. Pettersson last year, they had a good first line. They had a good third line, but Pettersson was sort of on his own. So they bring in DeBrusk, they bring in Danton Heinen. They're trying to find more depth on the wings, and it hasn't worked. And so he goes to Pittsburgh as well. coming back are two very useful pieces for the Vancouver Canucks. Marcus Pettersson, steady left shot defenseman. Vancouver's good on right shots. They're fine.
Yeah, they're good.
A left shot guy
that isn't Quinn Hughes.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, a left shot guy that is dependable. The thing about Marcus Pettersson's game that I think is the best is if you go through an NHL game, you're watching the Penguins play, and you don't notice Marcus Pettersson, it's because he's doing his job.
I just like, this is a part of the conversation for the captain of your team to take warm up and decide he can't go. Quinn Hughes has got to be in so much pain, dude.
Yeah.
He's got to be so uncomfortable right now. So getting a guy like Pettersson to help take some of the load off the team while Quinn maybe rests and gets a little better, and then when Quinn returns to the lineup, he can eat some of those minutes. That's hugely beneficial. And he's a very lanky guy. He's under 180 pounds, but he's 6'5". But he's rangy. It's good to have a rangy guy, and seems really positive as well.
And Drew O'Connor is another guy that the Penguins were going to sell anyway.
Well, if Danton Heinen is playing for nearly $3 million and not really doing anything in your bottom six, you might as well get a cheaper guy for your bottom six.
Right. And what do you think about Drew O'Connor?
If he's anything like his brother is Logan O'Connor, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, so I'm more familiar with Logan because of the Stanley Cup final a few years ago. Fast. I mean, it's a shame for the Penguins because Drew O'Connor really had the potential to be the next Mark Donk or Buzz Flibbit. Because isn't that the most Mark Donk or Buzz Flibbit name ever? The Penguins call up someone named Drew O'Connor. I'm like, that guy's about to go off. That guy is about to go off. But maybe the days of Mark Donk and Buzz Flibbit have passed us by.
Mm-hmm. It's possible. I think they have.
Is Tampa the new Mark Donk, Buzz Flibbit?
It might be. It might be.
They'll throw some random in the lineup. I'm like, okay, great. Can't wait till he scores 50.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Entirely possible.
It's annoying.
Jesse, from the Penguins' perspective, okay, you got Kyle Dubas making a move, moving out some guys, getting a first-round pick back. Kyle doesn't even seem to care whether it's this year's or next year's. He doesn't have a choice, right? That's all up to the Rangers. Mm-hmm. Pretty good deal for them, though, right? They get a couple of guys under contract that they probably can flip at the deadline.
Yeah, no, like if they want to make more moves with these guys, like Kyle Dubas has gave himself a lot of room to collect more assets, which I think is the smart thing to be doing here because they don't want to tear it completely down. They're obviously not buyers, but he's in this middle range where he can collect assets for NHL players and then keep flipping them and keep improving the roster year over year, so it's not a complete tear down in Pittsburgh. I like the deal for Kyle Dubas. Like he's good at making trades.
He is.
Do you get a first-round pick for Marcus Pettersson?
No, the combination, I think, is what led to the first-round pick, which is the smart way to do it.
And the salary going off the books for Vancouver this summer, the flexibility it's going to give them is great. Because you look at, that's a combined, $5 million? What's Drew O'Connor make?
Well,
what does he make?
$900,000.
Danton Heinen. So Danton Heinen makes 2.25. And Desharnais makes 2. So that's 4.5 or 4.25 million bucks that's just not there. And what's interesting about Desharnais, he's 28. He's a right shot defenseman and he's huge. You can move that at the trade deadline.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what did the Leafs pay for Joel Edmondson?
A third and a fifth?
Something like that. You can get that for Vinny Desharnais. And he's got another year left, which makes him more valuable.
Right.
In that, because there are going to be teams.
Depends who you ask.
Well, but there are teams that liked him. Edmonton clearly liked him. Vancouver liked him enough that they saw him for 7 games in the second round and said, that's a guy we need to sign. And then, I think you're going to look at teams who are like, I need a 7th or an 8th guy who can come in every 3 or 4 games in the playoffs or every 2 games in the playoffs and just be big. And I can't have him making much money. And I missed out on the guy that I actually wanted. So is Vinny But that's how you have to look at it.
Mm-hmm. I also think the Pens could just use him.
Sure.
Like from the beginning of the season, you look at their right side and you're like, Carlson. All right, well, Jesus, Eric Carlson. Chris Letang. Well, Jesus, Chris Letang. And then it's just been a rotation of who the hell is this? It's just been a rotation of nameplates. basically you throw Vinny Desharnais in there, and he's very good at a very particular skill set.
Yeah.
That actually might be a stabilizing factor back there on the right side. The problem is on the left side, you're giving up Marcus Pettersson.
Yeah, but he's a UFA. You're not going to bring him back. This is your job to trade him for assets if you're not the competing team. He's not up there in the standings.
Also,
That's what you gotta do.
Wow, the Penguins spend a lot of money on their decor considering how bad it is.
Yeah, that Grizzly contract
It's
was great.
$10 million on Erik Karlsson, 6.1 on Letang, 4.5 on Graves, Grizzlick 2.75, Desharnais 2, Pierre Oliver Joseph 9.5. There you go.
950.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
That's a lot of money.
950.
Yeah, no, that is too much money for a decor that is not very good.
Yeah.
You think 27? 27 million, a little too much? Yeah.
Well, I mean, Carlson's a giant
Yeah.
part of that, but
It's not that much.
Well, it's not crazy, but I think when you look at 4.5 of that is Ryan Graves and not to continue to take shots at a guy that's having a down year. I'm not trying to do that, but that's a problem.
put him out there with Desharnais.
Try well, yeah.
Do it.
Matt Grizzlick seems like a guy, by the way, that they're going to move on from too. And I think that
they better.
Well, they better, yeah.
Yeah, that's your job.
I told you not to look at.
I know. I
Did you
didn't.
look at it?
I didn't see it.
Okay, good.
I didn't see it.
All right. It's time to tell Steve to stay off his phone because Alan sent something through that we're featuring on the show. Sorry.
Absentmindedly, I was going to look something up. Now I don't even remember what it was.
No. I think that there are more moves to be made here by Pittsburgh. Right. You're right. Vinny Desharnais could just stay. Danton Heinen could just stay. But I look at guys like Heinen, Noel Acciari, Michael Bunting probably stays. And, Vinny Desharnais maybe stays. There are guys where these guys can accumulate some mid-round draft picks, and Kyle, he can wheel and deal with those picks. He can actually make things happen. The one thing
Itchy
Kyle
thumbs.
yes, itchy thumbs. He's also, I think he's really good at evaluating value in trades. Most trades he made, with the exception of goaltenders, don't even get me started in Toronto.
Oh yeah.
I think he did a very good job here most of the time.
Will anybody take Tristan Jarry? Do you think?
I think
they could have had him for free, I guess, through waivers.
they're going to buy him out.
Yeah, I think the buyout probably makes the most sense.
The
Never mind.
only player, there's like two players in the entire league he can be traded for. Philip Grubauer, Elvis Merzlikins.
No.
And yeah,
No,
exactly.
Elvis, Columbus
What
would
are you
never
talking
do
At
that.
the beginning of the season, I would have said Merzlikins, but not anymore.
Yeah, no.
He's like starting goalie for a potential playoff team.
Yeah.
And Grubauer.
Grubauer, yeah, that's a good one because he was also just sent down, and you love looking at Grubauer's numbers and how little wins he has, and how low that save
What a
percentage is
disaster.
getting.
It's crazy how good Joey Decourt is and how not close to the NHL Philip Grubauer is. That guy got nominated for a Vezina, signed a huge contract, and immediately turned into like a Guinness World Record pumpkin. Like one of those ones where you're like,
Yep.
that's the size of a Jeep.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Yep.
Can't believe it, man. The Kraken should literally be in the playoffs right now.
He's currently sitting 5-15-1 with an 866 in the month.
866?
Yeah, and they finally gave up the other day and sent him down, so that's good. Yeah, I
How
guess.
did you get 5 wins?
I guess the best thing for Jarry and the Penguins is the buyout.
Yeah,
this offseason.
I think it's a Brandon Saad situation, except for I don't think Tristan Jarry is about to go and call and go, yeah, Kyle, I'd like to give that up. Like,
no, it's not mutually terminated.
no, it's not.
buyout.
But what I mean
Yeah.
is, I think he buys it or he gets bought out, and then he ends up in Vegas. That's what I think is going to happen, and watch he'll revive his career. Vegas is so good for guys that are like, oh man, I've just struggled everywhere else. I'm going to come to Vegas and become an all-star. Let's go win the cup. Like Aiden Hill was traded to Vegas for like a 4th round pick.
Yeah, okay, now wait a sec. It is Kyle Dubas.
Yeah.
Who did the Clarkson for Horton trade? Was that Kyle?
Well, it was Kyle and Lou. Yeah.
It was Lou.
It was Lou's administration.
Yeah, he was the GM.
Mark Hunter, too.
Like, I'm trying to think of like an LTIR guy who he could, like, any stone that can be unturned.
Kyle will look for it. I know that.
Like, okay, a name just came to mind, and I don't think it's going to work, but I thought of it anyway. Carey Price. Right? He's not playing.
Yeah, but Fenway Sports Group, even though they have a fortune, they hate taking on deals like that. They're super cheap.
All right. Well,
so I'm looking at
turn over another stone.
I'm looking at the buyout calculator. So this is kind of ugly for Pittsburgh if they do it.
Yeah, there's no reason for Montreal to do
I was
that
about to
trade,
say
by
the
way.
complete opposite.
Yeah.
You don't think it's ugly?
It's great.
It is.
Oh,
Buying
really?
out Tristan Jarry?
What is it?
Pull it up, Maddie.
Am I looking at the right sheet here? Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. The 26-27 season. $5 million against the cap. Next year, 4.5. I guess it doesn't matter with the cap going up.
I think the savings next year are fantastic.
Yeah, because it gives you savings for Crosby.
Yeah.
Well, you're not using them anyway.
Right.
Right.
But the years 2 and 3 of that suck. But again, I guess it right now is the only thing that matters for the Penguins, coming up is the only thing that matters for the Penguins, right? Like you got to give it one more swing next year, I suppose. So
If you're not using it anyway, or using the player anyway, yeah. You know what?
And then, so I look at it as like you're going to have $4 million on the cap for the next 4 years. So they get tons of savings next year, $3.6 million. And then you're 2 years there, you're doing the $5 million cap it and the $4.5 million cap it. So you would have been paying Jarry, it would have been a higher cap hit against your actual salary cap. So you're actually saving a little bit of money, and then it's gone. And then that fourth year in 28, 29, you would have had Jarry on the books, or you wouldn't, he would have been a UFA at that point. And then it's gone and it's $800,000, which is nothing.
In the
so you kind of get rid of him at the same time, plus you're saving a couple $100,000 in 26 and 27, or 27, 28, plus 3.6 you're saving in 26. So I don't know. I think it's kind of good for them.
In the early years of the Leafs rebuild, not rebuild, like the early years of Matthews or whatever that was, Dubas did stuff like this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or, whether he was GM or AGM. Remember the Jared Cowan trade where they acquire this player? He's like, oh, I'm going to play. And they're like, no, you're not going to play. And they bought him out. And the Leafs gained cap space from buying him out because of some weird loophole with the numbers. Like, I guess what I would say to Penguins fans, because Dubas eats a lot of crap on this show, one thing I'm fairly certain of is he's not going to just do nothing with Tristan Jarry.
yeah.
Right. And if you're playing him in the minors and you keep him in the minors for the length of his contract, the next 3 years, if you want to gain cap space, you buy him out. Because if you have him in the minors, it's costing you money in cap space. Like, he's not completely off the Penguins' books.
Yeah, it's
He's down there.
$4.25 million
Right.
because you're only saving so much.
When you did the buyout calculator on Puckpedia, what was the date?
I bought him out. It was bought out prior to the 25-26 season.
Ah,
Yeah.
shoot, smart.
Yeah.
I thought it was like as of today.
You wanted to push it to like July 1st.
Well, yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
there's no point this season, right?
So
Okay.
I think like we could easily see in 4 months from now the notification come on our phones that Jarry's been bought out if he doesn't have some sort of miraculous turnaround
Right.
in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. But Pittsburgh's going to be a team to watch. I still think there's really interesting pieces there going forward. Hey, the Steve Dangle podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. And let me tell you something. It's that time of year where you're like, got to reevaluate life a little bit. What do I want the next calendar year to look like?
Where am I at?
Where am I at?
Where am I heading to?
And where your head is at
Wait.
determines your reality.
Oh.
And that's why this can help. This is BetterHelp. It can help with you kind of sorting out that journey. The thing about therapy is it doesn't have to be like everything's on fire and everything's wrong.
You don't need to have a eureka moment every time.
Bingo. This is about it's the habits that you bring into your life that make the long-term difference. And I think the best part about this is it's served over 5 million people so far worldwide, which is amazing. 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. You can easily switch therapists anytime. There's no cost to that, and it is on your schedule.
Did they have to talk to the Leafs to get those credentials?
They did not have to talk to the Leafs to get those credentials. Okay. No, those are different credentials, Jesse.
Really?
Yeah, there are different classifications of credentials.
What the media pass I have right now doesn't credential me to work for BetterHelp.
No, like you wouldn't come up as one of the therapists if an SDP listener signed
That's probably for the best.
Well, you're a good listener. He's a good listener.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, listen. BetterHelp.com/STP. 10% off your first month. It's BetterHelp. HELP.com/STP. Give your head a break. Now, I do want to say this. Jim Rutherford, who has run the Carolina Hurricanes, he ran the Pittsburgh Penguins, he's running the Vancouver Canucks, has been involved in over 230 deals in his lifetime.
Man. Remember, a lot of Canucks fans didn't like the JT Miller trade or the value. Remember when I was like, you know what? The Penguins should fire Jim Rutherford. Because when they got Phil Kessel, they stunk. They stunk for like 2-3 months. Then they fired their coach, didn't really do a whole hell of a lot else, and won the cup. So I have learned to not just be like, you know what? Jim Rutherford's a big, stupid idiot and doesn't know what he's doing. I'm going to wait this one out. It might just work out for them.
It might just. Sharks. The Sharks. San Jose Sharks. I sit next to a Sharks truther.
Give me the truth, Adam.
Granlund, Ceci to the Stars for draft picks. The San Jose Sharks have traded Michael Granlund and Cody Ceci to the Dallas Stars Saturday in exchange for a 2025 first and a 2025 conditional third. The third round selection will revert to a fourth round pick if the Stars fail to reach the Stanley Cup final.
That's a fourth.
So the Sharks are...
I'm so picky about that.
The Sharks are very pro-Dallas right now.
So
yes.
Just minutia on the trade thing. I always read it the other way.
Yes.
Do you guys read it? Because Adam read it where it's a third that'll revert to a fourth.
No.
But I'm always like, it's a fourth unless you do something and then it gets upgraded.
It upgrades.
I'm trying to sell
fourth.
it. I'm trying to sell it. Actually, they say right now it's a third.
No.
Only if they don't
weird.
make the finals, which they expect to do. Why would you doubt them?
Because it's
Oh,
not
you don't like the
that-
Stars? You don't like Texas? Wow.
This ain't Hold'em. Adam.
Because it's not that yet. It has to do something to become that.
Yes.
But you can look at it as it has to do something
To become the other thing,
the other
too.
thing. But I think it's the
Sorry,
fourth
guys.
that's the third.
Knife cuts both ways.
No,
It's
okay.
a third. It's a conditional third.
It's counting your eggs before they hatch.
The Chris Pronger trade.
Counting your
with,
chicken.
with the Oilers. No, I like yours better. It's like the Chris Pronger trade with the Oilers. The Ducks got the Oilers got an additional first round pick if the Ducks made the Stanley Cup final. But if they don't make the Stanley Cup final, the 2 first round picks we got reverts to 1? No! It's an upgrade when you activate the conditions for the upgrade.
Puckpedia also lists it as a conditional 2025 fourth round pick.
Good for them.
There you go.
They're right, and they should say
This is the correct way.
Right.
100%.
Sorry. I will only refer to it as the conditional third. You know how sticky I get about draft picks. I'm looking at you, Montreal, 2026 second rounder.
Oh, Adam.
That pick doesn't exist to you.
Yeah.
I never got that.
So I want to do something a little different here. I can ask you about this trade for the Stars. I can ask you about this trade for the Sharks. But I actually want to do a little Mike Greer deep dive. Because Mike Greer's been making moves. Mm-hmm. And I know that the Sharks are not good this year.
Right.
But he sure is doing a good job compiling assets. And I'm going to take you back to December 9th, 2024. The Avs acquire Mackenzie Blackwood, Giovanni Smith, and a 2027 fifth from the Sharks for Georgiev, Kovalenko, a 2026 second, and a 2025 fifth. Then at Halloween, I'm working backwards here, right? Halloween, Sharks acquire Timothy Liljegren from the Leafs for Matt Benning and a 2026 sixth pick and a conditional 2025 third pick.
What's the condition?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
That's hilarious.
August this year. And they had a great August. They took advantage of 2 really bad contract situations. The Edmonton Oilers and the St. Louis Blues had that fight over Broberg and Dylan Holloway.
That's right.
And they also took advantage of Barry Trotz. The San Jose Sharks acquired Yaroslav Askarov, Nolan Burke, a 2025 third-round pick from the Predators for Magnus Krona, David Edstrom, and a 2025 first-round pick. And 5 5-6 days before that, the San Jose Sharks acquired Cody Ceci, who they've now dealt. That has turned into a first-round pick. 2025 third as well from the Oilers for Ty Eberson, because Stan Bowman needed out of a contract jam because he was trying to retain Broberg or Holloway or both.
That's right.
And then he, this July, he got Toffoli, Dellandrea, Wenberg. Late June, they acquired Jake Wallman from the Detroit Red Wings for the 2024 second-round pick.
And that was their top scoring defense.
Sorry, they got Wallman and a 2024 second for future considerations.
Oh, they got the pick?
Yes.
Oh, Stevie.
That's a rough deal. Jake Wallman has been a monster in fantasy this year. He's also been great for the... And it goes on, right?
Oh, Stevie, buddy.
Mike Greer was made general manager. I can't believe it was this long ago already, in July 2022. And since then, he's been able to kind of shift in the shadows. I think one of his big wins also is the Erik Karlsson trade. He also traded Thomas Hertl last year.
The Karlsson trade, he got Granlund as a throw-in, as a captain.
Yes.
Because Granlund was not a good Penguin.
That's right. And so the Vegas Golden Knights one... the Sharks they've obviously moved on from Edstrom, but they have a 2025 first round pick because of that Hertl deal.
Well, in Edstrom, they basically replenish with the first they got in this trade.
Yep.
For CC and Granlund, because it's just going to be some other late-ish first round pick. And Edstrom, I want to say, was the last pick of that draft.
Absolutely.
Or last pick of that round.
And that Penguins thing, they got Granlund, Hoffman, who's now gone, and Jan Ruda, who's still there, and a 2024 first round pick that's top 10 protected that ended up with the Buffalo Sabres because the Sharks traded up 3 spots in the draft that year. But I think that, despite the sluggishness of some of these rebuilds, we're seeing a few teams really struggle to come back out of them, right? They tear it down. They struggle to come back out. So I'm looking at Anaheim. I'm looking at the perpetually rebuilding Buffalo Sabres, the Detroit Red Wings. But I look at the San Jose Sharks. And they are not perfect yet.
Far from it.
I didn't mention the Chicago Blackhawks either. Yikes. But they've got 2 absolute rock stars in Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini. And they have what they think might be the goalie of the future, and they were able to get him for not that much.
He was just in the AHL All-Star game.
They have...
Along with Dennis Hildeby.
In this draft, 2 first-round picks, 2 fourths. They've got a first and 2 seconds next year. And they've got a ton of cap room coming off next season. The cap projections is crazy. They are going to have, if it stays at 95.5, guys, the San Jose Sharks are going to have $45 million to spend this.
Oh, they can go out and get whoever they want. They could get Rantanen and Marner and have money to spare. I'm not kidding.
They can get Rantanen, Marner, and a third and pay them all $15 million.
All right, Rantanen, Marner, Celebrini. Oh my God. They could do it if they wanted.
And here's the crazy part. So they got $44 million, right? The next year they have another $24 million available. Now they're going to have to re-sign players and salaries are going to go up and whatever. But if they're smart, this summer the San Jose Sharks are going to be big time buyers.
Oh yeah.
And they are going to take advantage of the Will Smith, Macklin Celebrini, ELC deals in a way the Leafs just never quite did when Marner, Matthews, and Nylander were on theirs. Because the Leafs went out and they got Patrick Marleau. First year he had 27 goals, but that was not what they should have done. They should have gone out and got different players and probably maximized their cap space in a different way.
When they signed Patrick Marleau, they were guaranteeing they were going to make the playoffs for the next 2 years, but
yes,
at a cost.
I think, the cost is the pick that picks Seth Jarvis.
Yeah.
So
heavy cost.
The San Jose Sharks have 2 amazing things going for them. They got basically all their picks, and they got a salary cap that's exploding. Oh, and the third thing is they've got some great young players as well. This team...
Marc-Edouard Vlasic, by the way, year 7 out of 8 on a $7 million contract.
So he's almost done.
Almost there, guys. Almost there.
I think this team is going to be the team to watch. Everybody's talking about, is Chicago going to take a run at Kaprizov and blah, 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 blah.
They could take a run at him too.
San Jose, rich owner, market that is used to success, that hasn't seen a lot for a while. I don't know. I think this is going to be a fun team.
How much money cap room did you say they have for next year?
44.299.
You could sign Marner and Rantanen to $14 million each
And have
still
another 14.
Imagine they
I
go
can.
out and get Rantanen, Marner, Kaprizov. They're not going to do that. Well, then how are you going to sign all these young players down the road? Here's the great thing. Cap's still going up.
Yes.
And Askarov, that extension looks friggin' good.
$2 million.
$2 million? He's basically going to be your starter, like very soon.
And he's played
if
well.
not already. Yeah. I know he was just in the AHL All-Star game, but like, look at the numbers. He's their starter. They're just not playing him that way.
Here's the thing. People are like, well, his NHL numbers. It's the Sharks. His NHL numbers are going to be bad.
Does it start with a 9?
No, it's an 8.96.
That's pretty close.
But here's what he is in the AHL. A 9.38.
He's the best goalie in the A. Best goalie in the
Who was the best goalie in the A last year? Dustin Wolf.
Oh, there you go.
Who was just named NHL Player of the Month or Rookie of the Month?
Dustin Wolf.
Dustin Wolf.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a reason we don't talk about the Sharks the way we talk about the Blackhawks, even though the results are similar. There's like the Blackhawks, again, the youth movement in San Jose, like, okay, we've given the keys to these kids. And they're going to play together and they're going to make a lot of mistakes and they're going to lose a lot of games, but they're going to have some fun. The Blackhawks, it's like they skipped a step. Because I was talking about the youth movement. I'm like, well, they do have this guy and they have this guy and they have this guy. They're just, dude, they have a kid in the OHL who was like a second or third round pick who's played 47 games. You know how many goals he's got? 48.
Is that good?
He's scoring over a goal a game. Nick Lardis. So they got Nick Lardis, Frankie Nazar, Kevin Kurchinski, Alex Vlasic. You can sort of put in that group as well. They're going to pick some more guys. But this summer, they went and they got this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy in free agency, and they still suck. And that's demoralizing, and you're seeing it have an effect on Bedard. The Sharks are doing it in the right order.
Good locker room guy with Barclay Goudreau. I forgot to mention the Barclay Goudreau pickup.
Yeah.
Really good locker room guy. Tyler Toffoli, solid as a rock. Always scores.
Yes.
Takes the pressure off your Celebrinis and your Will Smiths, right?
Yes.
And you have found money with Granlund. Now,
well, and now that you don't have Granlund, though, like, now we'll see how Celebrini does. Right? Because you don't have a veteran to insulate you the way he was.
yep.
And that can be a little more difficult for a young player in this league. But I just like what they're doing with the rebuild a lot more than the Blackhawks.
When Granlund was with the Pittsburgh Penguins last, before he was traded for Erik Karlsson, he was averaging. So he was traded from Nashville to Pittsburgh. He was averaging about 15 minutes a night, and that's when it wasn't great. He only played 21 games with the Penguins, by the way.
Didn't he have one goal?
One goal. With the Sharks, the last 2 years, he had 60 points in 69 games last year. He has 45 and 52 this year. So he's back on where his career used to be.
Yep.
21 minutes, 58 seconds, 20 minutes, 51. He played 16 minutes for Dallas last night, but I would assume he did get a point. I would assume that he's being eased into the lineup.
Yeah, I can't believe all these guys are playing like 5 hours after they're being traded.
Well, I think that if you got to he's a guy that needs to be up in minutes. You can't play him down the lineup. You can't play him. He's not going to be as productive.
You're on a contender, though.
Well, what did you get him to be?
Tyler Seguin replacement.
Well, then he's going to play a lot, isn't he?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Seguin did make $9 million. 9.5.
Yeah. So, Jesse?
The Blackhawks comparison's a little unfair because the Sharks have known they've been bad a little longer. Their rebuilds like 5 years-ish in. Like, they knew they were bad since the season they finished last in the Western Conference, which was the 2020 season. They still had Marlowe and they had Evander Kane.
They were conference final the year before.
And Joe Thornton, and they go to the conference final the year before, and then they finished last the next year.
Yeah.
And that's the year they fire Pete DeBoer. And I think since that point, they've kind of known, like, it was the end. You know, we had the conference finals team, and they don't have it anymore. And since then, they've been kind of trying to sell off all of the old guys, and they're still there with guys like Marc-Edouard Vlasic. And it's been a slow churn here, but it's been really good. And this is how you do a proper rebuild. But I think we need to lay off the Blackhawks a little. They had Patrick Kane. They had Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves on this team in the 2023 season. That was yesterday.
I think things turn around for the Blackhawks quickly. It's just this year is going to suck.
This year sucks, but it's sucking even worse for the Sharks this year still.
No.
Since December 1st, the San Jose Sharks have played 27 games. They are 6-20-1. They're horrendous right now, which is where they should be, and it's a lot of pain. But they're at the bottom still in their rebuild, and it's going to be a quick turnaround now that they have all this cap space. Now that all of the old guys are finally out of the organization in the next half season / year when all the contracts are over, and it's going to be a quick build up. But they have been in this for quite a while.
They have.
I forgot to mention Lev Shunov with the Blackhawks as well. And what's crazy is both teams we're talking about, the Sharks and Blackhawks, the top of this draft is nuts. Like Porter Martone might go to one, Michael Misa might go to the other. There's a ton of other names.
Schaefer, big one.
Oh my God! Like,
Yeah.
Is McKenna this year or next?
Next. McKenna's the one we're going to thank for.
Yeah, so you have a Sharks team who's probably going to get another top 3, top 2, top 1 pick this offseason. And then, okay, now we're going to start looking towards, are there expectations on this team? I don't know, but they're going to spend a lot of cap space, and they're still going to be really young at that point. And I don't know if you go from last place in the league to finishing the playoffs, but we're not quite out of the rebuild yet. Let's not jump the gun here.
You're selling wins or you're selling hope. The Sharks are selling hope every night. The Blackhawks are selling deep depression because it's just Connor Bedard. It's Bedard getting thrown to the wolves every night and a bunch of really sad-looking veterans.
But they're also still selling hope because the rebuild's not at the same point it is in the Sharks one. The Sharks are, I think, so much further ahead based on like good management. Like the timeline of missing the playoffs isn't too far off with the Blackhawks, but they didn't tear it down as quickly or as far in the past as the Sharks had. You know, the Sharks have been more in a we know we're bad situation than the Blackhawks have, where they believed they were good and they held on to these pieces a lot longer, and the Sharks sold a lot earlier. So yes, all the credit should go to the Sharks in how they've been doing this.
I want to also mention, since we're talking about California, a little quick follow-up to the Ducks story we were talking about with Greg Cronin.
Ooh.
A lot of Ducks blogs just picked it up, and
I got some messages this weekend. It ruffled some feathers.
The chat, or at least the story that we brought up last week, in case you missed it, was Greg Cronin, coach of the Ducks, basically called Mason McTavish a third line center with some scoring upside. Mason McTavish, by the way, has 7 goals in 6 games.
well, good coaching. You motivated him, blah, blah, blah. That's how some people, I'm sure, are going to look at it.
Zach Kavanaugh, who I got this original quote from, who is a reporter for the Sporting Trib, basically said, when Cronin was asked about McTavish, he said, "Oh, Mac T can play first line left wing, second line center, third line right wing. It doesn't matter. He's like a utility knife." And then he said one of the core foundations of his game is he's good along the walls. He can protect pucks. He can go to the front of the net. Scored the goal because he went to the net front and tipped it. And let me say this. It smells like a backpedal. This is a guy that had 7 goals in 6 games. That quote came out about, a third overall pick 3 years ago being just a third line center with some scoring upside, and them not being able to find a place for him in the lineup. And now here we are a few days later, and we're backtracking on that.
He doesn't need to be doing all this. Like he's backpedaling from something he shouldn't have said. And the reason it's so unnecessary is sort of the conversation we were just having with the Sharks. The Ducks are heading in the right direction. They're not good, but they're heading in the right direction. There's no more, no one ever talks about the D-build part of the rebuild. The Ducks aren't doing that anymore. They're signing guys to extensions. They have great young talent, and they're going to add to it this year in the draft. They're getting good goaltending. They're not debuilding. They got a young, fun team. And they got this guy who's just determined to suck the will to live out of these guys, the will to enjoy hockey. I don't think this is again, with the Ducks, you get a lot of the, sometimes old school coaches don't know how to manage these Gen Zs. Shut up.
Maybe you're just bad at human interaction.
Yeah, man.
Maybe you're just not a good coach. Good coaches are able to change with the generations and communicate with them.
Did you notice it's not 1994 and it's 2025? You're still acting the way you did in 1994. There might be a problem. It's not 1994 anymore.
Yep.
I'm just throwing random years out.
We know he's popular with management there, but not popular with the fans, this coach.
The impression I got was he's not popular with anybody. Management, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if he's the right guy going forward. Management sure seems to think he is. It's a heck of a bet on this guy. It really is. This is a young team that can do a lot. It's a real bet to put it in Greg Cronin's hands. We'll see how he handles it.
With how good the Kings are, like California could become Death Valley again real fast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. I used to hate Death Valley. Because that road trip takes time and you got to stay up late for those games. And I remember just being like, all right, getting ready to stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning to watch the Leafs lose 4-0 every night for the next week. Death Valley used to suck. The Sharks, Ducks, and Kings, when they were all great at the same time, was brutal.
I think we're a couple years away from the Ducks being that.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't say right away.
These conversations always get a little like what year Leafs? Like 2012 Leafs?
Feels like Ron Wilson Leafs to me.
Where it's like, we have this guy and he could be that. And I'm always like, okay. Like, everybody loves their prospects.
I wrote an article once upon a time. I was like, this guy is the best forward in the Leaf system. Do you know who I was talking about?
No.
Brandon Cozen.
I'm excited.
Josh Levo.
Oh.
Josh Levo, okay.
I ranked him as the second best prospect in their system and the best forward. Behind Morgan Riley.
You're like, from the start of the LFR to like them getting Austin Matthews, like that little era of the Leafs, how many guys came and went that you believed in that were going to be like, okay,
a lot.
We're doing stuff here. This is the rebuild's clicking.
Yeah.
Well,
here's the difference. So when I wrote that, the Leafs were not rebuilding, they were debuilding. They were at the very, very beginning of the rebuild. That's how you're so bad that you get the 5th overall pick and you get Morgan Riley. Morgan Riley was essentially the only legitimate prospect they had. That was the problem. The Ducks aren't in that position. So as a Leafs fan, I think we are, as Leafs fans, I think we're uniquely qualified to be like, that's a rebuild that's cooking. That's a rebuild that stinks. The Ducks aren't there.
Does it stink, or is it just at a different part of the curve?
No, it's like you got a lot of magic bean prospects, and then there's blue chips where you're like, this guy's going to work. Mintyukov is going to work. He's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Trevor Zegras is still a bit of a mystery. Mason McTavish is going to work. Leo Carlson, like, I don't know if he's going to be 2nd overall pick good, but like he's going to work. Dostal's going to work. Trying to think of who else they got in their system, like really young guys. Like Zeev Bouillon was a really high pick, but he hasn't played any games yet, so we'll see. Already we're cooking with a lot more than Josh Levo here.
Totally. Yeah. And then you go to other teams and it's like, okay, so do that same exercise for Buffalo. And you do that 3 years ago with Buffalo.
3 years ago,
what
difference.
What are you saying about those players? Very similar things. And then you get out of it and it's like, okay, expectation time, make the damn playoffs, and they can't do it.
Pittsburgh is fascinating because they have a bunch of guys who are kicking ass in the AHL. Until you do it in the NHL, it means nothing. Nothing. The 2012 Marlies went to the Calder Cup final. And I was looking at all the guys in that team, and I'm like, you know, how big is the jump really? Let's go Ben Andres.
When we were on at the Calder Cup celebrations when they won it, we thought, you know what, you just take this team, plug them into the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we have a Stanley Cup winning team.
And they had like a decor of basically and almost entirely made up of seventh defensemen, like NHL guys.
Yeah. But you realize, those are all NHL guys playing at the AHL level. They're really good, but they're all 7th D at the NHL level.
Yes. Like I'm bringing up the 11-12. Oh boy. Oh no. Oh my good Lord. These are some names. Okay. This is really important.
Okay. Right.
So
This is really important.
really important for like the conversation we're having about like overvalued prospects.
Yeah, I just before you name all the names,
sure.
The hardest part of the rebuild, we forget that the easiest thing to do is tear it down. The easiest thing is to collect prospects and magic beans and draft picks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The hardest thing to do is to then make that step back up and go from rebuilding to competitive.
Yes. Here are the leading scorers of that team. Mike Zigomanis, Ryan Hamilton.
Which team is this?
This is the 2011-12 Toronto Marlies that made it all the way to the Calder Cup final. Mike Zigomanis, Ryan Hamilton, two vets. Like, those aren't prospects at all. Third leading scorer. Do you remember the German phenom Marcel Mueller?
I do.
Man, we thought he was going to be something.
He was really good in the NHL video games.
Yes.
His potential was really high. So you have him a couple years and he turns into like a first liner.
I score a ton in the AHL. I don't know if he ever played in the NHL games. Greg Scott. Who remembers this guy's going to make it 1,000,000% Jerry D'Amigo?
I do.
1,000,000%. Then you get to actual prospects. Nazem Kadri. He was the 7th overall pick. Joel Colborne.
The wrist injury.
Man, we thought he was something. We thought he was going to be something. Philippe Dupuis. Mm-hmm. That's a former first-round pick who the Leafs traded Yuri Talusti for. Yuri Talusti. There's another guy who probably should have popped off and did. He just didn't pop off here. Nicolas Duchamp. You don't remember Nicolas? Corbinian Holzer.
How far do we?
Matt Fratton.
I'm bored.
Jesse Blacker.
Yep.
That's a guy.
Second-round pick. Man. That is a who's who of. Mm-hmm. We thought that's the team of the future.
Yeah, I think that in this case, Sharks, Blackhawks, whatever they have, Sharks, Blackhawks, Ducks, they have better scouts than the Leafs did at that time.
Well, and they also have like a ton of just like top 10, top 15 picks, whereas the Leafs
eventually got there.
That Marlies team I just mentioned had, I think, 2.
Yeah, Marner, Matthews, Nylander. They figured it out.
With the rebuild conversation, just to close it out, the Detroit Red Wings right now sit in a playoff spot, and they're a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 8-9 years. And that turnaround, I think, took way longer than anybody expected. Like the ownership there thought they'd have some home playoff dates at their new arena long before this. And sometimes it takes a lot of time for these prospects to cook. It takes a lot of effort for things to come together, and that's the hardest part. Is once you're out of it, once you're bottoming out, it's to turn that corner and finally get back in.
The Red Wings also like tried to buy their way back, which was weird. Like they don't even have like the pillars that those other teams do. I guess they have three major pieces. Mm-hmm. I mean, a thoroughly in his prime and not exactly a young guy anymore, Dylan Larkin. Lucas Raymond is one of the least talked about players in the league. Like he's friggin' unbelievable.
The deals that
Sider
those Sider Raymond deals are going to be such great deals.
Man, I forgot. We spent so much time talking about that.
Yeah,
no, those are really good deals. And we'll see if Casa gets added to that.
Yeah, and Edvinson, too, you can throw in there in terms of young players who can be pillars. But yeah, then like buying their way back to relevancy, it's something we're advocating the Sharks to do.
Yes.
That's true. That is true.
And you look at this offseason, what Nashville tried to do, where it's like, we're a good playoff team. We just can't score. Let's buy our way to some scoring. And it didn't click.
Well, but the problem with Nashville is they should have signed a center.
I was just about to say, like
you got Marchessault and Stamkos. You could get one of those guys and sign Chandler Stevenson. I don't know. Like who was available center. That's the only one I could think of.
Anybody.
But anybody. Trade for a center. Anybody. That was the problem. I think Detroit also made some bizarro moves. Why did you sign Justin Hall? Why did you move off Jake Wallman? Why did you sign Ben Sherratt to that deal? Why did you sign Patrick Kane's and Vlad? Patrick Kane's actually been good.
Yeah.
Why'd you do Vlad Tarasenko? Why did you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like, what the hell
The
is
Nashville
happening here?
Predators put marble floor down in a straw house. Like,
Yeah.
guys, you need the most important part. You need
Centers.
skill, elite skill up the middle, and you don't even sort of have it.
Leafs. Sorry.
Tarasenko and all those signings have them in a playoff spot right now. Tarasenko and Kane and all.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I'm.
After firing,
Great, man.
no, it's all Todd McClellan, all Todd Daddy.
It is a large part of it.
And you know what? They probably could have moved off Lalonde a little earlier too. I mean, it's very clear that the team can play some hockey.
They're in a playoff spot, and now he's free to go steal the moon.
Okay.
That's a good joke.
What is that?
I know
It's a
Adam
good
doesn't
joke
like
that
it,
got complete silence.
What was that joke?
He looks
Help
like
me.
he looks like Gru.
Oh, yeah, he does look like Rue. Okay, let's talk about Saturday night's matchups. There were two potential Stanley Cup matchups. Okay, you had Washington, Winnipeg, right? You could see that. That's possible.
Yeah.
And you had Leafs, Edmonton. And I'm going to say it.
Sure, why not?
That could be a Stanley Cup preview as well.
Got to be fun.
The Washington Winnipeg game ended it was just beautiful dramatics. You know, Morrissey, I think it was the one who scored in overtime and then slapping the boards on the way in Washington.
And Washington erased, what was it, a 4-1 deficit?
Came back.
Ovechkin tied it. So every goal he scores is huge. And that one was even huger.
Monster game from both sides. Yeah. Then the Leafs in Edmonton, same thing, 4-1. It was
it was 4-1.
And then it got erased, and then it was called back. Now, we'll talk about that all in a second.
Sure.
But I think we just need to work our way backwards here. And Jesse, I'm going to send you this, and you'll know exactly what to do once I send it to you.
Ooh.
The way this game is talked about is interesting to me.
Leafs Oilers?
Yeah.
From Saturday?
Yeah, it's interesting. And Jesse, I want to talk about, or I want you to throw this one particular moment up.
Can
on
you
the screen.
explain the way the game is being talked about?
That's coming in a second.
Oh, okay.
What a tease.
This game had it all.
It was awesome.
This game
It was a lot of fun.
This game had Connor McDavid grumbly about the fact that the Leafs were rolling into town, and they had to start the game a couple days early, or a couple hours early, because Toronto's in town, and Connor was mad about that. And listen, prime time's prime time, baby. You can't primetime hours or primetime hours. If you want to get both markets.
You know when a politician randomly puts on a cowboy hat to seem like an everyman?
Well, Stephen Harper, Leaf fan, his riding was in the West.
Well, but also like every politician ever.
Yeah.
Like, or they roll up their sleeves because, well, I'm getting to work just like you. When McDavid, who is very much a Torontonian, greater Torontonian, pulls that shit, I'm like,
Connor.
what? You're the stand-up comedian being like, hey, what do you guys do for fun here? Like walking in, insulting the rival town. Connor, shut up. What are you doing here?
So, Jesse, do you have that one piece? One piece.
Do you want Joseph Wall?
Joseph Wall.
We can't really show the saves.
No, but we can just do that.
Okay.
and this could have been disaster for the Leafs. That goal would have gone in. It would have been less than a second to go, and it would have been very this era of the Toronto Maple Leafs. 4-1 lead, where have you heard that before? Mm-hmm. Give it up, go to overtime, and then what the hell happens? Tanev could have made the save. But
maybe. We'll never know.
We'll never know. And we don't have to know because Joseph Woll grabbed that puck when he, just never gives up on it. And then Mitch Marner gets down and grabs his shoulder, goes, ah! Save of the year candidate.
He's got just a lunacy in his eyes these days where I'm like, you're growing on me, kid.
Yeah.
It's awesome. But Joseph Woll, this is the game of his career.
Look at that save. That's going to be a hockey card.
Look at that.
Against person who grew up a Leaf fan, Corey Perry.
Remember the McDonald's 3D cards that you used to rotate and you'd see like a crazy save? They got to make one for Joseph Waugh. They got to bring those cards back. I want to say Patrick Waugh had one like this. Dude, he allowed 3 goals, arguably 4 for the Oilers, and it still might be the best game of his career.
I would like to point out that Chris Tanev has balls of steel.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit.
He is the most fearless man on planet Earth.
You think he wears a cup?
No.
You don't think he wears a cup?
He's like, try me. Try me any day of the week.
Wow, did that puck go off the post? No, it was Chris Tanev.
What happens
Tanev's
when
balls.
the puck shatters in half? Because at this point, I think that's what would happen.
It might. They are frozen when they go on the ice.
It would crack open like a Kinder Egg.
This-
I just, God, look at likable 1 and likable 2. And
this,
Corey Perry.
This happens, by the way, off of a goal by Leon Draisaitl that was disallowed because Toronto Maple Leafs sleeper cell agent John Klingberg was offside. And we did that on purpose to you, Edmonton, just so you know. We let John Klingberg sign with you because he's actually a Leaf fan too.
I thought he looked all right, eh?
He does look
Yeah.
good. He looks real John Klingberg out there.
He looks comfortable.
Now, that goal from Leon Draisaitl brought up a memory for me.
Interesting.
And it is game 4 of the playoffs in round 2, Vancouver-Edmonton, where it's in Vancouver and Vancouver ties the game up with like 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. And the Edmonton Oilers should be devastated. They've worked so hard this entire game and they've been winning this entire game. And Vancouver scores. Their fans are going ballistic. And less than a minute later, Leon Draisaitl, ice in his veins, scores, puts the Oilers up 3-2.
What a killer.
Game over. And what I remember saying on the stream at that time was that is a team that is such a veteran playoff team move. Oh, you scored. That's too bad for you. That's what the Oilers do, and they do it in the regular season, and they did it to the Leafs. Oh, we had our worst first period of the season. Let's say it is for the Oilers. It might not have been. It was not great.
I don't even think it was that bad. It's the Leafs executed. They didn't.
Yeah.
They probably, Woll and Skinner probably gave up the same number of rebounds. The rebounds Skinner gave up were more dangerous, and the defenders in front of him, minus Ekholm, right, didn't do a good job of clearing them. The Leafs did a great job of clearing all night.
Right.
All night.
But the Oilers are never out of any game ever.
Ever. They can completely score at will.
And that is what I think brings me to what I want to talk about when I talk about this game. Because there's a lot of talk, and I read both the Edmonton side and the Toronto side. Leafs were so good in the first period. What happened after? And here's how I want to change the conversation. Guys, you have 2 heavyweights going head to head. And I compare and contrast this with the Capitals and Jets. Wow, what happened in the Capitals? What happened to the Jets? They gave up that lead. They have, as Jesse calls him, the fraud, Connor Hellebuck, in net. He must be a fraud.
Yes.
And what I think we need to do, because numbers are great.
He gave up 4 goals. You must have loved that, Jesse.
Numbers are great.
Fantastic for the save percentage.
But what we have to remember is when 2 teams play each other, a great game is one team has a bad period, and then the next period, they're the dominant team. That's what a great game is. And so what I'm seeing with people is going, wow, the Leafs won, but the Oilers came back and they had a bunch of shots and they outchanced the Leafs 91-45, whatever. That is what happens when you get out to an early lead against a good team. They spend the entire game trying to get back at you.
It is almost bad to get a lead that big against Edmonton.
Absolutely. You're setting yourself up for a real problem.
Oh my God. Soon as intermission hit, I'm like, man, the next 40 minutes are going to be long. And they were.
The expectation, because we all want stats to be perfect and round and whatever, is that a team like Toronto, when they get out to that lead, well, it should just stay there and it's going to keep it.
No.
Against an Oilers team like that.
It's not how any sport works.
That's not how this works. And I think the same goes for the Oilers, and the same goes in the Caps and Jets game. You play a great team, you're going to be dominated a little bit most of the time. And vice versa. And so, I thought that was 2 well-matched teams trying to kill each other on Saturday night, and I loved it.
Oh,
Every second of it. Loved it. Is that, we were talking in early January. This is the question I have for you guys. Is that the close kind of game that you guys were talking about? Hey, the Leafs can win those now, that they couldn't win before?
Yes.
Because the lead was not coughed up.
It was close. Real close, but it wasn't. You're right. He was offside. He was clearly offside. Dude, shout out, who is it? Sam Kim and Jordan Bean.
Who are they, Leafs video review peeps?
12 for 12, just unbelievable. Like, I don't think we properly appreciate the pressure of, there's what all the players go through, and that's crazy. There's what all the coaches go through, and that's crazy. There's the GM upstairs knowing he can't actually affect anything from upstairs.
He's as helpless as we are.
He's
He's
as helpless as any fan.
He's paid to be helpless, which is more pressure.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Oh, I'm going to lose my job if they lose tonight.
Yeah, and I can't directly affect this.
The video crew, what happens if they get that call wrong? You're 2 minutes away, 2.5 minutes away from 2 points. Huge. You get this call wrong, you might walk out of that building with 0. Because all of a sudden, there's still over 2 minutes left. The game is tied, and Edmonton has a power play.
Mm-hmm. And the Leafs penalty kill going into that game hadn't been very good.
You better be shit sure that this is offside. Now, it seemed pretty obvious. But man, huge shout out to those guys. Ice in your veins. Man.
Again, I ask you guys, though.
Sure.
They didn't give up the lead. I know
didn't
the
give
goal
up
was
the
called back. I know Oilers fans don't love it, but it was clearly offside.
It was offside.
Are those the type of games against really good opponents, spectacular opponents, that the Leafs couldn't convert on in key situations before that they now can? Jesse?
Yeah, I think on Saturday the Leafs showed so many good things. Like with the video review thing, like I feel like that's an important point about the staff they have there, because the way MLSE can flex their muscles isn't with signing more guys for more money than anybody else, because there's a salary cap. Yeah. The way they can flex their muscles are the extra things around the game. They have a carte blanche to spend as whatever they want as an organization, the Toronto Maple Leafs, on the extras. And that includes their video review staff and the resources they give them. And I think you see that in a 12 for 12, that other teams might not be able to compete with that just because of the investment in terms of talent and money in that system. So all shout out to the Leafs organization for that. And in terms of just the winning on the ice, that's a huge part of it. That's part of the winning of the game on Saturday. And where I found like the difference was with them and an earlier team from earlier in the season is capitalizing on the special teams. I think that was so important. I know.
Yes.
Adam Wilde, as soon as I say this,
yes.
he's gonna say this wasn't good enough. He's gonna
No,
say,
I was happy.
He's gonna say, you know what, the power play is not good enough. But
I said we got our PP boys back.
If you look at the power play from January 15th through today, February 3rd, the Toronto Maple Leafs are converting at a 42.9% clip.
That's great.
That is.
I love arbitrary time frames.
I
love them.
Wow.
I love them.
That's
Wow.
It's not arbitrary. That's around when we were yelling about the power play. We were yelling around, I think it was it was the second week of January. So I pick around there. That's 2 weeks of time frame of hockey games. They've been the number one team in the National Hockey League.
Oh, that's great.
So that 42.9% is number one in the league for the last 2 weeks of the season. I think that's pretty significant.
Whoa, Jesse, whoa, slow down. You got to pull over and put your blinkers on.
Why?
Well, you're not supposed to be driving. You're supposed to pull over when the wambulance is driving by. Hey, Adam.
Is that the wambulance?
Wah!
I think having a power play that is converting at the best rate in the National Hockey League over the last 2 weeks allows you to win a game against the Edmonton Oilers, because you're converting on special teams where that's where you have the man advantage. That's where you can claw back against a team that's not going to allow you very much. So I thought that was great. You see that the stars are back in the lineup. Like Tavares and Nyes are there. And Steve made a great point in that having them out means more to the Leafs because they score goals in ways that the rest of the lineup doesn't.
Yep.
Matthew Nyes and John Tavares are two of the best players on this team that go to the net. And that's how Craig Berube has been preaching this team to score goals. And having them there is so effective and so important for this team. So it's hard for them to weather storms when those two are out at the exact same time. And now they're back healthy.
And how many
Man
teams
got a goal like that too.
How many teams do well when two key players go down at the same time?
Totally,
but the personnel on how they play, these two players mean so much to this team.
Yeah, like there's no one they could even call up and be like, okay, there's no poor man's Tavares. There's not even a poor man's Nyes.
Because you can't call up somebody and then say, hey, be 250, 6'10". Like Matthew Nyes is a huge human being who just stands in front of the net.
Like the only guy, like, okay, the Leafs are gun to the earth. Game 7. You had a 3-1 lead. You choked on it again. You know why? That's because guys got hurt during Game 4, and it's Nyes and Tavares again. Who's going to the net and scoring goals for this team?
McMahon?
You have two hopes in the world, in my opinion. Well, here are your candidates. McMahon.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's not really what the McManimal does, but he did it against the Oilers. Pacioretty, Lorette.
What you should in that exact scenario, what you should come to the table with is that's Austin Matthews' job now. It's Game 7. Show up. You go to the net. I've seen Austin Matthews do it. Willie found him the other day, or a couple weeks ago. We were talking about it for a great net front goal. Austin Matthews can go to the net in that situation. Fill in the gap for the other two guys. Be 3 people. Like that's why we paid you $13 million. But
if they get a guy
during
at
the regular
deadline,
season, we got to find ways to fill this in.
Totally. Like when it comes to the deadline, like it's not for me. It's not just you got to get like a third line center, which they do.
Yeah.
Right.
They have to have that skill set, or there's no point.
So it's the type of third line center they're after.
100%.
Now your guy Yanni Gourde went down 6-7 weeks, so it's not looking like that's going to happen at least this season.
No.
Yeah.
So he probably won't get traded. I want to say this about the power play. What if it's peaking too early? Send tweet.
Shut up.
Shut up. Shut up.
It's actually bad.
It
that
always
they're good.
dies in late February, boys. I just want to throw it out
It's
there.
actually bad.
What if it's actually bad?
Yeah, no.
What if all this winning is really bad and it's masked by being good at goalie?
Here, wait. You know when it's gonna like slow down? When's the trade deadline? March 7th?
Yeah.
March 8th.
Got it.
One
Cool.
thing that
No,
is
God, I hope not.
one thing that is still a problem. The goals on Saturday came from William Nylander from Tavares, Matthew Nyes from Austin and Marner, McMahon on the power play, and then Marner from Matthews and Nyes. Where's the rest of the roster?
They need a third line center.
Goal was cracked.
Which one? The Marner one?
The Marner one.
That was great.
Yeah.
They must have drawn that up.
But
That's insane.
Where's the rest of the roster on the score sheet? That is what you need to go
can't do it.
Brad Treliving, find depth scoring.
I think we've got a sample size that's long enough that know that they just can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you're not getting the best out of Domi in his position. Robertson is trying. I like that
He's looked really good.
I like that he plays angry. They need somebody to drive the line between the two of them.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen.
No one out of that group of Leafs that don't score are even paid like guys who should.
No, that's the point, right?
Except
They
for
don't have
Domi.
anybody.
Except for Domi.
and
Like,
that's
Domi
on
makes
the
more
low
like 4
end.
mil.
The Domi money, it's so insignificant as the cap goes up. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, now he's paid like a nobody, you know?
He's paid like it'll be in a year,
fair.
Steve. In a year, it'll be 4% of the cap that they pay.
Right. That's
Well, no,
but
this
like,
summer it'll be a 4% of the cap.
Adam, he has 3 goals.
I know,
It's bad.
but
That's bad.
But
Yeah.
I need some.
But 4% is not what you're paying to drive the line.
Right.
You have not set him up, or Robertson, or McMahon. McMahon, when he's moved up, has been great. But anybody that's played third line on this team, none of them have been set up for success because from training camp, before training camp even started, when Jesse on that screen, which is our screen that we get to look at when we're looking at replays and shit, when we bring something up on screen, we actually have a TV here. Jesse's like, here's the proposed lineup, right?
Yeah.
And that's before we even knew if Pacioretty was going to make the team. We all said, hey, you know what's missing? A third line center.
Yep.
We all knew this.
Yeah.
We all knew this. So it's got to happen. I hope it happens sooner rather than later. I really do. Because I think there is a division title on the line here. And
that's-
there's a legitimate that matters to me. Okay,
Well, you're also just going to head into the
You've won
playoffs.
6 in your entire franchise history. Maybe start with winning small before you win big.
You're going to head into the playoffs with the exact same deficiency you had last year. That to me is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
If you don't address that.
Matty, throw up the cap friendly. Look at this nonsense. You go from Mitch Marner at $10.9 billion. Just on your point about you're not paying anybody to do that.
Right.
The Mitch Marner $10.9 million goes down to Max Doty. I have the list of their highest paid forwards. Mitch Marner at $10.9 million. Then you jump down to $3.75 for Max Domi. Conf at 2.4. Yarncroc 2.1. Rees at 1.3. McMahon at 1.3. Duar at 1.1. Yeah, they haven't paid anybody to get that depth scoring.
No, you're getting what you deserve.
Yeah, they've paid, and they are getting that result where these top 4 forwards are generating everything, plus Nyes, who's going to get this huge raise this offseason, because that's what they've collected.
Based on what they're paid, you're lucky to be getting the performances you're getting out of McMahon and Nyes.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. And listen, I do think people laugh again. Yarncroc does matter. I think if you haven't been
Especially for this team.
Well,
Yeah.
100%. If you listen, have you guys? It's so weird to me, the discourse around this guy. People
Dude,
were
he's 15 goals.
They were trying to punt him out of town last year. And he's good on, he's strong on defense, plays wing, plays forward, scores 15 to 20 goals a season his entire career.
Penalty killer.
Does well in the playoffs. It's unbelievable to me that people are like, Cali Yarncroc, you're stupid. You're such a stupid Leaf fan.
Flames fans might take
I'm hearing
umbrage with the playoff
I am
thing.
hearing that from Leaf fans who are like, you just don't know hockey. Dude, this guy is
I
valuable.
don't know what you're talking about.
I just don't know that we were
He
ever
makes
watching the same
2.1
game.
million. No, you know what it is?
That was, by the way, a great Dubas signing.
Yes. No, but Yarncroc was one of the guys who, at the end of last season, when everyone, including us, were like, you need to get rid of Marner. They're like, well, no, all you do is nickel and dime. Oh, yeah, you get rid of Kampf, you get rid of Reeves, you get rid of Yarncroc. Oh, you mean all those guys who add up to 1/2 of a Marner? Like, guys, they're too top heavy. We've talked about this a million times. Can you do better? Can you be more efficient around the top heavy? Slightly, I think is the right answer.
Slightly.
But you can. You can. And if they
People
nail
will say
it,
that you can't, but
if they
sorry.
If you nail it, they could win a cup. But it's so hard to nail it.
Right. That's why you want to give yourself more chance to nail it.
Yes.
And that is why they will make a trade. Yeah. And I hope whoever they bring back, and by the way, be prepared, kids. If you want a really good one who's got term, we're going to talk about Easton Cowan. We're going to talk about Fraser Minton. We're going to talk about Ben Danford. Do you think that that Fraser Minton hasn't been scouted by teams the Leafs are talking to?
Oh, I know.
Guys.
But he could be... A boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat.
Now,
That's
think
Fraser Minton.
If you're talking,
he's a boat.
If you're talking to me about, hey, it would be really smart to hang on to those two guys. Maybe Danford, I put a little further down. I think he's going to have another year, either in the A or the CHL, whatever.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. But Cow and Minton, very likely that if they're still in the Leaf system, they're fighting for training camp spots next year. They probably make the team. You use those ELC deals as a way to augment the rest of your lineup so that you can afford to get rid of some of the veterans and be more efficient. Maybe Easton Cowan, maybe Holmberg sticks around, you find a new home for Kampf, and you've got Cowan in there, and then you can take that $1.5 million you might save and spend it elsewhere. But again, we're talking about like little pieces here. If you want a great player, if you want Brock Nelson, and I do,
Bork is the number one name I've been thinking of this whole time. What?
Bork?
Bork.
Ray
Nelson?
Bork?
Yeah, Raymond Bork.
Yeah.
What?
No, I just...
To the Leafs?
Bork Nelson.
Anyone named Brock, I think it's funny to call them Bork.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you want Bork, you're going to have to part with...
I think Ray Bork's a little old.
You probably have to part with something.
He was a great line mate, though.
Oh, yeah, for us.
Yeah,
yes.
we played with him.
We did.
Former Steve Dangle line mate, Ray Bork.
That's right. Now, listen. Maybe Brad pulls off a miracle and does it, and pulls off a Carolina. We didn't give up any of our top prospects, and we didn't give up any picks.
Mm-hmm. He's doing it in the stealthiest stealth mode any Leafs GM has ever done anything, if that's the case.
There's no talk at all in the market about the Leafs. None.
There have been 40,000 trade rumors this year, and nearly none of them have involved a single Leaf. It's the craziest thing.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, but I'm not used to it. The silence is so ominous. I'm scared.
Let's be honest. Some of the times that there's been guys on the block, they've thrown in the Leafs just for the clicks.
Every flame.
It doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah, Toronto
by some
called
of
us too. What did they call you about? Your linens? Like,
this guy's available. Oh, what if he signs with the
Stop.
Leafs? Like, what they weren't actually in on that.
Yeah.
Only Adam would ever say that.
Four Nations looking like, because Yanni Hakanpää, allegedly a member of the Leafs, will not be playing for Finland. We thought it might be his conditioning stint, but Maddie, by the way, has a Yanni Hakanpää Leafs jersey coming. We're not sure when it's coming, but
Are you kidding?
No, she does. She does. But the reason I bring all this up is that it looks like
oh no.
Sorry, one more time. Put it up.
Played in Four Nations. That would have been so good for the lore.
Would have been good for the lore.
It would have been. Oh no!
It is expected today that Team Finland will add the only two Finnish defensemen that they didn't pick: Henri Jokiharju from the Sabres and
Urho Vakanainen.
Urho Vakanainen. And good for them.
Hooray!
Hooray! And watch, Finland's going to go win the tournament. Yeah, he will not participate now. I want to start this with. I want to start this next conversation with some rage bait.
Let's go.
Okay. And Jesse, I'm going to send you a video, and I think you're going to know exactly what to do with it. According to Jeff Merrick.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh boy.
New Jersey forward Stefan Nosen will not face any supplemental discipline for his hit on Buffalo Sabres' Tage Thompson.
We need another video. We need another video where you explain why. I think I know exactly why.
Okay, so we'll just have a quick look at the hit here, because I think that's key. And then you can explain why, because this was a monster hit.
Yeah.
Monster. Tage was left without his helmet. Like it was crazy.
Before we talk about the hit, fold the Sabres.
Well, I was going to get to that, but yeah, talk about that.
Fold them. Years ago, I wrote an article about the Boston Bruins and this thing called the punk test. There was a comedian named Patrice O'Neill who talked about the punk test. It is a stand-up bit that revolves around when he was younger. He was playing a pickup basketball game, and during the basketball game, this guy kept screwing with him in ways to test whether or not he was a punk.
Right.
And at the end of the game, he's like, you know what? He just made some stuff up, and he's like, I'm going to rob you. And he stole his 4X tall Puma suit. I had listened to that bit roughly around the time the Sabres and Bruins played, and Milan Lucic ran over Ryan Miller. Who fought Milan Lucic that night? The answer is no one. Now, this was 2011, 2012 Milan Lucic. You would have been a crazy person. But no one said, as the term goes, boo to a goose.
Boo to a goose. I've never heard that term.
You've never heard that? No one said boo to a goose, even though this man ran over your starting goalie. Mm-hmm. Your like franchise cornerstone goalie. And then the next time they played, Paul Gostad, poor guy, had to stand up to Lucic and take his ceremonial ass beating, basically. No one stood up for Miller at the time. Over a decade has passed, and this team hasn't learned a damn thing. Tage Thompson, who you can't live life without, we know this for a fact, gets blown up by Stefan Nosen, a guy who started the season really hot, and he's looking for his role on the Devils now a little bit. A little bit, compared to where he was.
Would you say vanilla?
No. Well, he's definitely not vanilla. Right? He's like, all right, if goals aren't going in every game like they were, I'm going to start hitting guys. He hits Tage Thompson, and if the Department of Player Safety had the option to look at it on replay and decide that it didn't warrant supplemental discipline, fine. No one on the ice had that luxury. So this isn't a matter of, is there going to be a fight after every clean hit? If you're on the ice, you have no idea whether or not that hit is clean. You drop your glove, you confetti gloves, you do something, anything. Even if you lose the fight, you at very least show that you do indeed have blood in your veins. And the the Sabres didn't do that. Fold the franchise. Like, if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan, how aren't you just sick to your stomach watching this team every game?
Which is crazy because it's the Devils. They're not the toughest team.
No!
But who on the Sabres is going to do that?
Well, their two biggest guys, and I only know this because I watched Buffalo Sabres fan Dwayne rant about this. Their two biggest guys, I think it's Samuelson and Owen Power, are out there, and they don't, as we say boo to a goose.
Right.
They don't do a thing.
Jesse, let's bring this up if we can. So Tage Thompson is fighting a Devil player for the puck. Dougie Hamilton is also back there, so you got to basically Tage and a defenseman.
I think it's Siegenthaler.
Is it Siegenthaler? Yeah, 71? Yeah.
I think so.
And then moving it forward here, they're both looking at the puck. Tage is trying to get around Siegenthaler, who is falling. And Tage looks like he's got the puck. He's watching the puck. And here comes Stefan Nosen.
You reach, I teach, unfortunately.
And wham, just blows him up. Now, I can imagine that NHL player safety did not have any supplemental discipline here because Thompson he just doesn't see Nosen. B, he's bent over.
This, to me...
Like, that's a shoulder check, but it is to the head.
So... Here's where I got to give the Department of Player Safety a little bit of credit. This is the sort of hit that I think earlier this season we'd be analyzing here, and I'd be like, I have no idea why that's not a suspension. And after they made that video explaining why the Zach Whitecloud hit on Matthew Nyes wasn't a suspension, after watching that video and watching this hit, I know exactly why that's not a suspension. Because they're either deeming that head contact was unavoidable, and or they're saying the head was probably hit second. It was a hit through the chest that ended up getting head afterwards. Like, Whitecloud absolutely hit Matthew Nyes in the head, but it was the way he did it. It was unavoidable. That's what I think they're saying here. I don't know that I love this hit being in the game.
I can buy the argument based on the current rules.
Yeah. Like, again,
I don't want...
There's what the rules are and what they should be, and they're never the same thing.
Jesse, when you look at this, if you are NHL player safety, based on how they've explained things before, what would you do?
I think they got it right, and it's largely to do with the size of Tage Thompson. Because there's no way in the world that Stefan Nosen is reaching the head of Tage Thompson unless he's bent over reaching for the puck. Yeah. So he's going, I'm hitting you here, but you're bent over leaning into my shoulder there. So it's unfortunate of the circumstance that led to this hit. And I also agree, like on the slow motion replay, which is how the Department of Player Safety is looking at it, it's kind of chest head plus he's bent over. So I think under the precedent that we have, it's the right decision.
Yeah. No Sabres fan is going to want to hear that. But
no.
They probably are more upset that nobody stood up, though.
Well, and this also isn't the Department of Player Safety necessarily saying it's clean, because wasn't Nosen given 5 in a game?
Stefan Nosen was given 5 in a game for the third period check to the head of Tage Thompson.
Did they review it and take it back or something? No, you got 5.
No, he got 5 in a game. And the Devils killed the 5-minute major, too. That's the sticker, right? You didn't fight, and then you didn't score.
Yeah, no, well, our revenge is our power play. Rings hollow when you don't score.
And this is when...
Just fold them.
They had good vibes last week. I mean, Peterka and Thompson had hat tricks on the same night.
Cool.
Last
half of
Wednesday,
those guys
Thursday?
are missing. You know, it's... for hockey, I mean, for this division, like when the Sabres, who was it? The Bruins they killed? Well, with the back-to-back hat tricks?
Yep.
Man, that
Which
goal
they did
horn
hockey
going
a favor
off
with that, by the way.
What was that?
They did hockey a favor with
Oh, absolutely. Like the building going insane the way it was. It reminded me of how this team was like 15 years ago. And I think hockey's healthier when the Sabres are relevant. Ugh. Just gag me with a spoon, this team. What a miserable watch.
Yep. I have nothing else to say on this stuff other than, guys, Tim Hortons is bringing up the roll up the rim cups. And that's good for Canada. I think that's good for us.
Help the nation heal.
Do you want to do a press conference?
Sure.
Let's do it.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
I've said this before. I don't know why you ask me. Like, is it in the show or not?
Oh, I will just say, Jesse, because sometimes I say, let's do a press conference. You're like, we've run out of time.
Yeah, because we're pushing 2 hours.
Right.
Next time,
So-
snap
Are we
your
now?
fingers and bang the table and
Yeah,
go, oh!
So should we do it?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Oh!
Sorry, subwoofer guy.
I am confused. I am
never sorry,
So
subwoofer.
I will ask this one question. Wojtek Tobias, who has the most Czech name ever.
Wojtek, and it's Polish.
No, they're from Czechia.
Oh,
That's why I
really?
said that. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I was
Okay.
thinking of Wojtek Wolski.
So they say, hi, guys, from Prague, Czechia. Did you know that in the Czechia Extraliga, we have an award called the Ragegas Trophy? It is given to the defenseman who excels the most in 3 categories: hits, blocks, shots, and plus-minus rating.
Love it.
Each category is awarded 1 point per statistic, with plus-minus points deducted if negative. Don't you think NHL defensemen deserve a similar award? Maybe a modified version named after an outstanding defensive defenseman from NHL history. If you agree, what name would you give it? Thanks, and keep up the great work.
It should absolutely be called the Your Uncle's Favorite Player Award. And the first, I don't know why this is the first player that came to mind, Anton Volchenkov. Remember him?
Yeah,
I think a trophy should be named after a more famous person.
Where you don't have to go, remember him?
But this is a fundamentally boring award, though.
Yeah.
This is a defenseman who, what is it? Hits, block shots, and plus minus?
Yeah.
Anton Volchenkov. I nailed it.
What if
Nerds know I nailed it.
What if there's a more famous defenseman who's good at the defensive part of the game?
Ken Danico.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even kidding. Ken Danico.
I don't know. Maybe like an all-time great.
No, that's not what this award is for.
You don't think any all-time defensemen have been good at the defensive side of the game?
No.
I mean, it screams like the modern version of that is the Chris Tanev,
The Chris Tanev Award.
right? Just defensive.
Make it happen.
Defensive defenseman.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Are you? Do you agree that the NHL should have a defensive
Yes.
defenseman award?
Yes, absolutely. Every year it's like, well, who got the most points? Oh, that guy gets the Norris. And that's not what, and this has been put on our Discord a bunch of times. That's not what defense is. It's part of what defense is, but defense, your main thing is to keep the puck out of the net
Here's what
and to keep the team from even getting a shot at the net. So the person, there should be, why not? There's like 40 awards for forwards.
Zdeno Chara?
Sure.
That'd be a great one.
I love that.
It's cop out, but all right. I think
What do you mean that's a cop out?
it's crap.
What do you mean it's crap?
You
brought it
proposed
up.
Be Anton Volchenkov.
Stop it. Oh my God. The Darian Hatcher Award. I don't know. Like, what,
Hey.
what do you want?
Okay, here. I'm trying to look up
Bob Gainey. Is he a
defenseman
forward?
all time. No, not this season, you piece of crap.
He's a forward.
Wait. Luke Shen is the all-time leader in hits by a defenseman?
Yeah,
What?
hits weren't counted as a stat. I don't think it goes all the way back.
Probably not. Mark Giordano,
All-time block shot leader.
all-time block shot leader.
Oh, man. Is he the all-time block shot?
Okay, here's how I know this is a new stat. Here's the top 10. Mark Giordano, Mark-Edouard Vlasic, John Carlson,
That's, wow.
Alex Pietrangelo, Chris Russell. Oh, Chris Russell. Duncan Keith, Andy Green, Brent Seabrook, Ryan Suter, Ryan McDonough.
How much of Mark Giordano's career was block shots not totaled by the NHL?
Great question. That's a great question. because it's possible. He had over 2,000 blocks and over 1,000 hits.
05-06 is the year that they started keeping track on the NHL records.
I think he squeezes all of his career in there.
Oh, yeah. When was he drafted?
It might have been that season. He wasn't drafted.
Oh, yeah. Undrafted free agent. First season in the league is 05-06.
Hey!
7 games with the Calgary Flames.
Okay, hits all time. Luke Schenn, 600 hits, more than the second closest guy. Radko Gudas, Brooks Orpik, the Brooks Orpik Award for defense. Dion Phaneuf, Zdeno Chara is indeed in there. Brendan Dillon, Shea Weber, Brent Seabrook again, Adam Larson, what? And Dan Girardi. That's how you know it's a new stat when players I remember being drafted.
Yeah, I think Zdeno's the name.
Zdeno.
He's one of the best defensemen of all time. I don't think anybody is upset about Zdeno Chara having an award named after him.
I think the only guy top 10 in both is Brent Seabrook.
What about Nick Lidstrom?
Kiss my ass. No, that should be the Norris.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
That's what I think.
What about Shanny?
Shanny?
That is a forward.
He's a forward.
Yeah, but he's Detroit.
Oh, stop. We all accepted less when there was no cap. And we had the highest payroll in the league.
What a hero. What a hero. Good for you, man.
Cool, man. That's great. It's working out. Anyway,
All right, that's
let's wrap it up. Hey, next show will be Wednesday. And remember, brand new CJ show just came out yesterday, breaking down all the trades. Agent Provocateur with Alan Walsh, talking about how the cap might not just be 95.5. It might just be more. More. And also, BP Stouffville, buy your tickets. We'll see you there. Woo!
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.